Chapter 2559. Damn it, I'll fight you. Jianghu's twin kings turned around and charged. He did not believe that his opponent could hurt him again. He guessed that his opponent must not have much energy left after fighting for so long. However, he soon screamed in agony. He realized that his opponent's sword chi had not weakened. In fact, it had become even sharper. Damn it, how is that possible? How can he be so powerful? He should have been exhausted long ago. He was not the only one. Everyone around him was stunned. How can his opponent's power be endless? Damn it, this kid has so many rare treasures. He must have secretly taken them. That was the only explanation that could make them feel at ease. On the other side, Jianghu's twin king's body was riddled with wounds. More than half of his bones were broken. He also swallowed rare treasures and a large drop of spiritual liquid to recover instantly. Kill. After another earth-shattering battle, Jianghu's twin kings was injured again. This time his injuries were even more serious. It had even damaged his origin. Therefore, although consuming rare treasures and spiritual herbs could heal his body, his combat strength was weaker than before. He could only use about 80% of his previous power. That put him at an even greater disadvantage. However, he realized that Lin Xian's combat strength had also weakened. After fighting for such a long time, he finally realized that his opponent was not invincible. His power would also weaken. When the other saints and elders saw that, they also heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, their opponent would also be exhausted. Otherwise, they would have thought that their opponent was a monster. Lin Xian sneered. So what if my power has weakened? I'm more than enough to kill you. Lin Xian held the killing sword in his hand and walked forward step by step. The power of the 5 elements surrounded him, suppressing heaven and earth, blocking Jianghu's twin kings' path. With Lin Xian in front of him, Jianghu's twin kings had no way out. Brother twin kings, do you need my help? Just when everyone thought that Jianghu's twin kings were dead for sure, a cold voice suddenly came from afar. It was a woman's voice. It was very pleasant to the ears, but it did not carry any emotion. Her voice came from afar and clearly entered everyone's ears. One could imagine that the person who spoke was definitely a top expert. Lin Xian also frowned. He stood in the void and turned his head to look into the distance. In the distance, a woman in white walked over. She was extremely beautiful and her black hair fluttered in the wind. However, there was a domineering look in her eyes. It was rare to see such an expression in a woman's eyes. Therefore, when Lin Xian saw it, he was stunned. Who are you? Lin Xian asked coldly. You don't deserve to know who I am. The woman in white looked proud. She looked disdainfully at the sky and said coldly, You can leave now. Remember, this is me sparing your life. Hurry up and thank him and leave. What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. The holy sons and holy daughters also frowned. Who was this person? How arrogant. How dare he say such things to Lin Xian? Their understanding of Lin Xian was now different from before. Previously, they had thought that the other party was just an ant that was not worth mentioning. However, after this trip to the ancient tomb, they knew that their previous thinking was completely wrong. The other party wasn't an ant at all, but a dragon, a demon, a killing god. He had killed the 5 elements saint and a few other saints. He had even slashed the yin-yang saint. Finally, he had defeated the middle state twin kings. Every single one of his achievements was an existence that could shock and awe everyone. Such a person could be said to be extremely terrifying. Now, the other holy sons and holy daughters would not dare to provoke him unless they had no other choice. However, there was someone who dared to speak to him in such a manner. Did he not want to live anymore? Or rather, what kind of mysterious background did he have? Lin Xian also frowned. The other party's arrogant attitude made him very unhappy. The middle state twin kings looked up to the sky and laughed. Ah, brat, continue to be arrogant. Come and kill me again. Just you wait. Wait until I leave and recover from my injuries. One day I will trample you under my feet. I will return all the humiliation that I have suffered today. The middle state twin kings were really mad. Ever since he started his cultivation, he had never been defeated. Not to mention that he had beaten a cripple to the point where he was severely injured and almost killed. Therefore he swore that he would not let the other party off. Do you think that a woman can protect you? Lin Xian sneered. The murderous intent in his eyes exploded again. Like a storm, it swept in all directions. Lin Xian, I admit that you are very strong. However, this time you can't do anything to me. The middle state twin kings were not afraid in the face of such a terrifying murderous intent. Instead they sneered. What did you say his name was? The woman in white turned her head and frowned. His name is Lin Xian. He is the master of the immortal palace. The middle state twin kings gritted their teeth and said again, Lin Xian? The Lin Xian who killed General Xianing? The woman in white asked. Yes, it was him. He was the one who killed our General Xianing. The people of the Tai dynasty screamed. Fairy, avenge us. That brat also killed our prince. The people of the Tai dynasty screamed crazily. However, just as they screamed, a scream came from afar. Immediately, everyone turned their heads to look. They all went crazy when they saw that. The people of the Tai dynasty had a mental breakdown. Their royal elder was torn in half by the Bloodwing Bat King, and half of his body was swallowed. The other half of his body exploded into a bloody mist. He was killed. Their imperial family elder had also been killed. The warriors of the Tai dynasty screamed crazily. Fairy, avenge us. Lin Xian? Very well, I'm looking for you. I didn't expect you to be here. It was really a case of traveling far and wide looking for something, only to find it without any effort. The woman in white sneered. Lin Xian frowned. Looking for me? Which side are you on? Why are you looking for me? He did not know the woman in front of him, nor did he know who she was. He originally thought that she was just passing by and came to save the middle state twin kings. Who would have thought that it was not the case? I am the war concubine of the war tribe. The woman in white's voice was sonorous. When she spoke, it was like thunder shattering the world in all directions. War tribe. War concubine. Heavens, she was actually from the war tribe. Everyone was shocked. Even Lin Xian frowned. He did not expect that the woman in white was actually from the war tribe. He was no stranger to the war tribe. He had once killed the young prodigy of the war tribe, the Golden Lion King. He had also fought with the peerless powerhouse of the war tribe, Jianghu. He had a deep understanding of the power of the war tribe. He did not expect that the woman in front of him was also from the war tribe. She should be a genius of the war tribe. However, so what? Lin Xian snorted coldly and pointed his sword forward. So she's from the war tribe. What? Are you here to die again? How dare you? Chapter 2560. You don't have to yell at me. Your battle tribe's genius, the Golden Lion King, was killed by me. Do you think you're stronger than the Golden Lion King? As soon as these words came out, the sky changed color. The surrounding experts exclaimed. They had long heard of this battle. They thought it was just a legend. But now they didn't expect to hear it from Lin Xian's mouth again. It seemed that the legend was true. This kid not only provoked the Tai dynasty, Five Elements Palace and other holy lands, but also an ancient family like the battle tribe. God, did he not want to live anymore? I don't care what battle concubine you are. Since you provoked me today, I'll make you a dead concubine. Lin Xian's voice was cold. Lin Xian's attitude. It shocked everyone. It seemed that this kid was still as arrogant as ever. It wasn't because the other party was an ancient family. It was because of fear. The middle state twin kings smiled. It seemed that he didn't need to instigate the two sides to fight. Moreover, it was the kind of fight that wouldn't end until one of them died. Thinking of this, he quickly retreated, activated the four-beast chariot, broke the five elements seal, and then fled into the distance. Lin Xian snorted coldly, waved his hand and reached out, wanting to block the middle state twin kings. Clang. In midair there was a clanging sound and the green palm was blocked. Your opponent now is me. The battle concubine's voice was cold, blocking Lin Xian's path. Get lost. Lin Xian shouted coldly and punched out. With a bang the starry sky shattered. The battle concubine's body emitted a dazzling light, forming a resplendent armor that covered her delicate body. At the same time he waved his hand, and a golden halberd appeared in his hand. It gently slid, piercing through the void in front of him. A peerlessly beautiful woman holding a gigantic halberd. This scene was indeed extremely shocking. Kid, how dare you offend my battle tribe? Now go to hell and repent. The battle concubine waved the halberd in her hand and slashed forward. A huge golden light fell from the sky like a waterfall. How terrifying. This battle concubine was indeed terrifying. God, are all the people of the battle tribe so terrifying? First, there was the Golden Lion King and now there was a battle concubine. I suspect that any young person from the battle tribe can suppress a world. Countless martial artists, frightened and envious. But they knew it was useless. They couldn't envy. The war race had been passed down since ancient times, and could even be traced back to an even more ancient era. They were a race that was born for war, and they had a terrifying bloodline power in their bodies. He was born with a powerful combat strength. In addition to the war clan's abundant resources, The martial artists of the war clan would often reveal their talents in their youth and become geniuses of a region. Looking at it now, it was indeed extraordinary. Battle concubines to the battle twos to TB. However, so what if he was strong? Lin Xian snorted coldly and swung the Dragon Abyss Valley sword towards the sky. When it collided with the halberd, a shocking sound rang out. It was as if 100,000 golden lightning bolts were about to fall together. The battle tribe. You shouldn't have appeared. Go back to your tribe and live a peaceful life. The battle outside no longer belongs to you. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, full of confidence. Ping ping ping. The battle concubine was forced back. The armor on her body flickered, neutralizing the force. Then she stopped in the void. Her beautiful eyes burst out with a shocking light. They were like two suns, growing stronger and stronger. Don't belong to us? Kid, I have to say, you are too arrogant or too ignorant. When my battle tribe ruled the world, you didn't even appear. History is rolling, and there will always be powerful beings that disappear. There will also be rising talents that will stand at the top of the world. Your battle tribe will still become history. Now this world belongs to us. The future also belongs to us. The sword intent on Lin Xian's body grew stronger and stronger. An extremely terrifying dragon roar and sword cry sounded. At this moment he was like a peerless sword god. Belong to you? What a joke. The battle concubines snorted in disdain. The other saints and saintesses in the distance also had cold expressions. The other party wasn't a great emperor yet, but he said such arrogant words. He really didn't know what was good for him. Since ancient times, how many brilliant geniuses, how many powerhouses that shocked the past and present. But in the end, how many great emperors appeared? Too many geniuses, dazzling stars, fell in the passage of time. Without reaching the final step, no one dared to say that they were invincible. But now Lin Xian actually said such words. They couldn't help but be shocked. Ignorant kid, next I will let you see the true power of my battle tribe. The battle concubine's voice was ice cold. Mysterious runes appeared on her body one after another, beginning to circulate. A blood-colored aura wrapped around her. Bloodline power, this was the battle tribe's bloodline power. In the distance, a saint cried out in surprise. The other martial artists also cried out in surprise. They looked ahead, their bodies trembling, feeling as if the blood in their bodies was about to coagulate. They even had a feeling of wanting to kneel down and worship that beautiful figure in front of them. Bloodline suppression. This was absolute bloodline power. Some elders cried out in surprise, roaring like crazy, resisting. Those who were weak retreated frantically. Yi Wudao snorted coldly. Golden light circulated around his body like a god of war. He had also activated the Yi family's bloodline power. Immediately, the battle tribe's bloodline suppression was neutralized. Behind him, the demon imperial palace's Yen Ryu's eyes also circulated. Her body instantly recovered. One could imagine that Yen Ryu's bloodline power was definitely not weaker than Yi Wudao's. But as for what it was, no one knew. Apart from them, Huo Tiandu, No Flower, the Crown Prince, Gu Santong, Murong Qingqing, Xinjingqiu, and the others also circulated their bloodline power. They resisted. At this moment, the saints and geniuses with bloodline power activated all sorts of methods. As for those without bloodline power or those with weak bloodline power, they could only retreat. Or they could use artifacts to defend. Just because the other party had activated their bloodline power and hadn't used any major methods, it had already caused such a terrifying scene. One had to admit that the battle tribe's bloodline power was too terrifying. Even after countless years, after countless generations of inheritance, it still possessed such power. They didn't dare to imagine how terrifying the first-generation battle god ancestor would be. He probably wouldn't be weaker than the emperors of old. Or perhaps, the battle tribe's ancestor might be an emperor. However, the battle tribe had existed for far too long. They didn't have any information about the battle tribe's ancestor. But for the other party to be able to pass down his bloodline for so many years, he was definitely a shocking character. Lin Xian also felt an immense pressure. In fact, the pressure he felt was much stronger than the saints and saintesses. Chapter 2561. Seeing Lin Xian's body tremble, Zhang Ji revealed a disdainful sneer in the distance. Kid, did you see that? I've only activated my bloodline power and you're already trembling. What else do you have to fight against me? A mortal like you can't even withstand a single blow from my war tribe's bloodline. Now kneel down obediently and accept your death. Zhang Ji's voice was cold. In the distance, Zhongzhou's twin kings, Tai dynasty, and 5 Elements Palace all smiled sinisterly. It seemed that there was no suspense in this battle. This was because they had never seen Lin Xian use his bloodline power before. Thinking about it, he shouldn't have any powerful bloodline. In that case, he wouldn't be able to fight against the war tribe's bloodline power. Bloodline power? It was indeed very powerful. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. But you don't have anything to be proud of. This bloodline power was passed down to you by your ancestors. Even if it's glorious, it's your ancestors' glory, not yours. I don't understand. What do you have to be proud of? Besides, do you think you're invincible just because you have the bloodline power? Today I'll let you know that even without the bloodline power, I can still beat you up. The sword chi on Lin Xian's body became brighter and brighter. Ignorant kid, you'll regret it soon. Zhang Ji's voice was cold. She didn't say anything else, and the blood-red light on her body became stronger and stronger. Mysterious runes revolved around her body. The aura on her body was much stronger than before. One could imagine that her strength had also increased by several times. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian made his move. He wouldn't let his opponent's strength continue to increase. Using the demigods and semi-devils, Lin Xian rushed forward like lightning. At the same time, he waved the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand and slashed forward. Boom! The sky trembled and exploded. Zhang Ji also made her move. She waved her halberd, drawing out streaks of golden light in the sky to block the opponent's sword chi. She couldn't get close. Kill. With a soft shout, the bloodline power on Zhang Ji's body became dazzling. Countless runes flickered, providing her with powerful strength. Boom! The halberd was swung, turning into a terrifying golden demonic mountain that descended from the sky, causing the dragon origin sword to tremble violently. How terrifying! Was this the power of the battle clan's bloodline? It was actually able to raise the opponent's combat strength to such a high level. The surrounding cultivators all trembled in fear. Even Leaf Dao, No Flower, and the others wore dignified expressions. This Zhang Ji was definitely a super strong opponent. If they were to encounter him, they would probably have to go all out to deal with him. This combat concubine was too powerful. That brat might not be able to resist her. Indeed, he was too arrogant. He had underestimated the power of his bloodline. This was especially true for the war race, a race that had been passed down since ancient times. His strength and foundation were absolutely terrifying. Furthermore, from the looks of it, this war concubine's bloodline power was extremely pure. Likely it was rare even in the war race. Sounds of discussion rang out one after another. The majority of the people were talking about the battle clan's bloodline power. Older brother Xian. Lin Shengij. In the distance, on the other side, Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu were also extremely nervous. Murong Qingqing's body flickered with light as countless petals danced in the air. A green lotus platform revolved beneath her feet. On her body there were mysterious blood-red runes. Clearly, Murong Qingqing had also activated her bloodline power. On the other side, Xin Jingqiu was the same. However, both of them were extremely nervous. In fact, they couldn't help but want to attack. Don't worry. Just watch the battle quietly. That fellow will not lose so easily. Don't worry. Just watch the battle quietly. Indeed, among these people, the one who understood Lin Xian's strength the most wasn't Murong Qingqing or Xin Jingqiu. Instead, it was the dark red divine dragon that had always grown with Lin Xian. Therefore, the dark red divine dragon was the least worried now. At the very least, he knew that Lin Xian wouldn't lose so easily. Buzz buzz buzz. Lin Xian was pushed back. The dragon source sword roared, his arms trembled, and the blood in his body surged. His body almost split open. How terrifying. Is this the bloodline power of the war tribe? It's indeed powerful. His expression was extremely solemn as a trace of golden light appeared in his eyes. At the same time, the great dragon sword soul in his body roared continuously. He's indeed a powerful opponent. However, this time he should be able to make me go all out. Lin Xian felt the blood in his body boiling. He wasn't afraid. Instead, he was excited. After all, it wasn't easy to find a powerful opponent and fight to his heart's content. Now he had finally found one. Very good. The bloodline power of the war tribe is very powerful. It's worth it for me to go all out. Lin Xian waved his arm and circulated the energy in his body to remove the numbness. At the same time, terrifying sword chi burst out from his body. His combat strength increased once again. A dragon-shaped shadow appeared on his body and roared. What? Hearing Lin Xian's words, the surrounding people were shocked. What did he mean by it was worth it for him to go all out? Could it be that he didn't use his full strength previously? How was that possible? No one believed it. They didn't believe it and thought that he was just putting on a show. However, when they sensed that Lin Xian's sword chi had become stronger again, they were all stunned. Their bodies trembled as they knelt on the ground. His strength had actually increased. Damn it. How was that possible? Could it be that he really didn't use his full strength previously? I don't believe it. He didn't use his full strength and killed the Yin-Yang Saint? He defeated the twin kings of Middle State? Just what level had this brat's true strength reached? Screams rang out as everyone looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at a super monster. Jianghu also frowned. Lin Xian didn't run away in fear. Instead, he became more courageous and even said more arrogant words. Used his full strength? Don't try to be mysterious. You must have used a secret technique to burn your spiritual power or blood to temporarily obtain this powerful strength. That's an unorthodox technique that can temporarily increase one's strength. However, the aftereffects are huge. Compared to our bloodline power, it's a far cry. Jianghu's face was full of disdain. In her opinion, Lin Xian had used such a self-damaging method to increase his strength again. How could such a method be able to contend against the power of her bloodline? More importantly, her bloodline power had endless uses. It was definitely not something that Lin Xian could imagine. As expected, the void trembled. Countless blood-colored runes circled around Jianghu's body as if a blood-colored armor was draped over her body. The heavenly halberd in his hand was also covered by a layer of blood-colored light. Kill. With a furious roar, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Everyone retreated again. The terrifying heavenly halberd was like a blood-colored dragon that charged toward Lin Xian. An earth-shattering dragon roar rang out. The 9 heavens and 10 lands trembled. Countless sword chi intertwined to form a sword diagram that enveloped Lin Xian. Chapter 2562. Boom boom boom. In the sky piercer received a shock and even trembled before flying back with a bang. What? So powerful? Everyone was stunned. They looked at Lin Xian with their mouths agape. What was that? Dragon. Damn it, why do I feel that the aura of the Tao of Dragons on this kid is even stronger than those geniuses of the royal family? Damn it, could it be that he has the bloodline of dragons? When this thought came out, it gave them a fright. Everyone hurriedly shook their heads. What a joke, how could he have the bloodline of dragons? That's right, dragons are legendary divine beasts. It's not certain if they exist. Indeed, the powerful beasts and mutants that have been discovered so far are all related to dragons or their descendants. But no one has ever seen a real dragon. Although this kid doesn't have the power of a bloodline, I think he should have something else. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to be so powerful. A series of discussions sounded. The surrounding saints and experts were discussing intensely. In the distance, the people of the Demon Imperial Palace were also shocked. Many of them were even trembling, and the blood in their bodies seemed to be condensed. Although they were all mutants and had the power of a bloodline, they usually roared in all directions. But now, they realized that their bloodline power actually wanted to submit to the other party. What was going on? Could it be that the other party really had the bloodline of dragons? But the other party was clearly just a person. They couldn't understand. Huachindu's face was also gloomy. He also activated his bloodline power to resist the pressure coming from the front. Yenryu's eyes flickered as she looked forward. In front of her, a green lotus swayed gently and enveloped her. Kill. With a roar, Lin Xian attacked. Countless dragon-shaped sword chi wrapped around the ancient sword and slashed forward, directly shattering the void and destroying the blood-colored light. Boom. The Jianghu was blasted back and smashed through the void. However, the blood-colored patterns on her body became even more resplendent and released a terrifying pressure. Countless blood-colored runes even condensed behind her, forming a hazy blood-colored figure. The moment this figure appeared, it directly shattered the 9 heavens and 10 lands. A terrifying force surged over like thousands of waves. Ping ping ping. Many martial artists vomited blood and were sent flying, their faces full of fear. What was that blood-colored figure? Bloodline Ancestral Awakening. Heavens, this Jianghu was actually so terrifying that she could achieve Bloodline Ancestral Awakening. An elder screamed. At this moment, Yi Wudao, No Flower, Gu Santong and the others had extremely serious expressions. They were all possessors of bloodline power. Naturally, they knew the uses and origins of bloodline power. Bloodline atavism was an extremely frightening and terrifying thing. This meant that the other party was either exceptionally talented or had been born with exceptionally pure bloodline power. Ancestral bloodline. Of course, the other branch bloodlines would also appear, but the probability was much lower than that of the direct bloodline. The other was the evolution of one's bloodline. In other words, at the beginning he would not be able to reach ancestral awakening, and would only have ordinary bloodline power. However, by relying on various opportunities and their own strength, they were able to evolve their bloodline power and reach the level of ancestral awakening. Regardless of which it was, bloodline ancestral awakening was definitely something incredible. Bloodline power was actually a kind of inheritance. When the ancestor of a family reached a cultivation level, he would change his body and blood. Then he would pass down this power through his descendants. Generally speaking, the stronger one was, the stronger the bloodline power passed down. However, as time passed, the effect of the power of the bloodline became lesser and lesser. But during this time, if someone in the family broke through again and reached the sage level, the bloodline power would be strengthened again and continue to be passed down. Bloodline power contained remnants of the ancestor's bloodline. With special methods, it could be activated and form a phantom that borrowed the ancestor's power. This was the origin of the blood-colored figure behind the Jianghu. This blood-colored figure should be one of the ancestors of the war tribe. But whether or not it was the first ancestor they didn't know. But even if it wasn't the first ancestor, it should be an extremely terrifying existence. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to manifest. Sure enough, when the blood-colored figure appeared, everyone's expression changed. Even Lin Xian frowned. He felt a strong sense of danger. The threat that the blood-colored figure posed to him was too great. But as soon as the blood-colored figure appeared, he raised his hand and slapped out. The endless void shattered, and a blurry blood-colored palm descended from the sky. Boom. The space in front of him shattered instantly. Lin Xian used demigods and demigods and demigods to dodge quickly. The ancient Taoist robe on his body burned. At the same time, he crazily slashed out dozens of sword lights. However, he was still sent flying. In an instant, all of the sword chi was destroyed. Even the ancient Taoist robe was suppressed. Lin Xian spat out large mouthfuls of blood. More than half of the bones in his body were broken. But in the end, he managed to dodge and wasn't killed. He was injured. That kid was seriously injured. Countless people exclaimed. Heavens, the blood-colored figure was too terrifying. Lin Xian was so powerful that he could kill many saints, but he couldn't block a single palm from the blood-colored figure. If the opponent wasn't fast enough, that palm would have destroyed his body and soul. At this moment, countless people looked at the blood-colored figure and trembled. That's great. The people of the Tai dynasty and the Five Elements Palace laughed sinisterly. In the distance, the middle ground twin kings also grinned, revealing a cruel smile. Kid, let's see how you die this time. Brother Lin is probably in danger. Yi Wudao also said in a deep voice. At the side, No Flower also had a serious expression. The prince of the Great Xia dynasty, the Alcade Saint, and the others were all paying close attention. Damn it. This time, even the dark red divine dragon was nervous. That was because the blood-colored figure also gave him a great sense of danger. He had miscalculated. He didn't expect that the war concubine could reach the bloodline awakening realm. Not good. Brother Xian is injured. Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu were also very nervous. At the side, Xing Tian roared in anger. His palm had already formed a seal. As long as the situation wasn't right, he would immediately use it. Cast bean soldiers. He would use the best puppets to save Lin Xian. Cough cough. In the sky, Lin Xian stopped and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Kid, do you see that? This is the difference between us. In front of the power of my bloodline, you have no chance of resisting. So, obediently kneel and accept your death. I can give you a quick death. The war concubine looked down at Lin Xian from above. Victory was already in her hands. Her opponent couldn't block the ancestor's phantom she summoned. Chapter 2563. Only people like Yi Wudao and No Flower could summon their ancestors' phantoms to contend with her. However, that was only limited to Yi Wudao and a few others. As for the kid in front of her, let alone the phantoms of ancestors, he didn't even have the power of bloodline. How could he be her opponent? The Jianghu stretched out her jade-like finger and waved it in the air. One move, I only need one move. I can kill you. A confident smile appeared on her beautiful face. One move. Hearing this, everyone's eyelids twitched. The Jianghu was too confident, but she did have the qualifications to be so confident. Their gazes once again turned to Lin Xian. This kid was probably going to die this time. There was no other way. There was always a higher mountain. Who asked this kid to be so arrogant before? Now that he had offended the battle tribe, he was probably going to be killed. This was even better. On the road to becoming a great emperor, there would be one less powerful opponent. If I've said it before. A genius who doesn't grow up is nothing. Even if this kid was talented and powerful, no one would remember him after his body and soul were destroyed. Many young geniuses sneered because they were jealous of Lin Xian. Moreover, they didn't have the strength to defeat Lin Xian. Therefore, when they saw someone who could injure Lin Xian, they naturally laughed sinisterly. Apui, shameless bastards. This emperor will spit on you to death. Insidious ants like you still dare to talk about stepping on the road to becoming a great emperor? Look in the mirror. Do you have the qualifications? Damn snake, what did you say? Several young geniuses were instantly enraged. A snake dared to look down on them? The dark red dragon sneered. What did I say? I said you were trash. Trash. If you really think you are geniuses and want to walk on the road to becoming a great emperor, then go and fight with Lin Xian now. You don't even have the guts to fight with him. Don't you find it ridiculous to talk about the road to becoming a great emperor? The young geniuses were so angry that they vomited blood. Indeed, they didn't dare to fight with Lin Xian. However, they wouldn't allow a snake to look down on them. Therefore, among them, two figures sneered. Damn snake, I'll kill you today. The two of them charged toward the dark red dragon like ghosts. However, in an instant they screamed and retreated. Half of their bodies were crushed by the dragon's claws. The dark red dragon tossed half of the body into its mouth and started munching on it. His gaze was like a blood-red arrow, piercing through all directions. Let me teach you a lesson. If you dare to provoke me again, I'll skin you alive. Damn it, just you wait. Those young martial artists who had sneered earlier fled like stray dogs. They didn't dare to stay any longer. The others were also extremely shocked. Who would have thought that this snake would be so powerful? With just a raise of its hand, it had severely injured several young geniuses. His means were not any weaker than the saints. But so what? No matter how arrogant this snake was, that Lin Xian would not be able to escape death. This was certain. His fate had already been decided. In front of him, Lin Xian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes bursting with the light of zero strength. You want to kill me with one move? You're overconfident. Jianghu didn't say anything. She once again controlled the blood-red figure behind her, and another blood-red palm pushed out. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked, destroying everything. Lin Xian spat out blood and flew backward again. His body that had just recovered was once again shattered. This was when he used his maximum speed and ancient Taoist robe. If not for this ancient Taoist robe, his body would probably have been blasted into pieces. Whoosh! Lin Xian's body appeared in the distance. He kept panting and his Taoist robe was dyed red with blood. However, his eyes were getting brighter and brighter. Kill me with one move? What a joke. After one move, I'm still alive and well. Don't you think that's very mocking? Lin Xian's voice sounded, shocking everyone. Jianghu's expression became extremely gloomy. The other party actually dodged. This was really beyond her expectations. Moreover, not only did the other party dodge, but he also mocked her. Jianghu's expression darkened, and her killing intent swept out like a storm. So what if the other party dodged? He was just relying on his strange speed. However, judging from the current situation, the other party couldn't compete with her at all. He could only dodge passively. How many times could he use this speed? Even if he didn't die after two moves, he would definitely die after the third. Kid, I have to say that your strength is indeed beyond my expectations. You can actually take two of my moves. However, you don't have to be arrogant. Your current situation is basically no different from death. Do you think you can escape my attack in the end? You'll just live a little longer. Everyone was silent. Indeed, they felt that Jianghu was right. Judging from the current situation, Lin Xian could only dodge, and he couldn't completely avoid it. After one move, he would be seriously injured. If the other party didn't have precious recovery treasures like the large drop of Earth Spirit liquid, he would be dead. Even if he didn't die, he would probably be half dead. Lin Xian didn't say anything. He flipped his palm and took out a jade gourd. He opened the cap and was about to swallow the Earth Spirit liquid to heal his body. However, at that moment he frowned. His figure swayed and he dodged to the side. As soon as he moved, the void beside him exploded. Boundless demonic chi and golden light enveloped him. Although Lin Xian was seriously injured, his soul was not injured. Therefore he sensed the danger in advance and dodged. However, at that moment he was still seriously injured, so he couldn't completely dodge. Half of his body was swept away by the surging demonic chi, and he was sent flying. Damn it, what happened now? The shocking change stunned everyone on the spot. Die, kid. A sinister voice came from the front, causing everyone to come back to their senses. The Twin Kings. It was the Twin Kings of Middle Ground. He actually made a move at that moment. It seemed that he hated the other party to the core and wanted to kill him with his own hands. Cries of surprise could be heard. That's right, the one who made the move was none other than the Twin Kings of Middle Ground. Previously, they saw that Lin Xian was seriously injured twice, so they seized the opportunity to make a move before the other party recovered. However, they had underestimated Lin Xian. They didn't succeed in killing him in one move. Kid, you can't escape. The Twin Kings of Middle Ground had a sinister expression. Although his origin was still injured and could not fully recover, he could still kill a seriously injured enemy with only 80% of his strength left. It was definitely a piece of cake. Bloodwing Bat King, kill him. Seeing the Twin Kings of Middle Ground charging at him again, Lin Xian roared angrily. Buzz. A blood-red figure appeared and charged at the Twin Kings of Middle Ground. An intense collision sounded, and the Twin Kings of Middle Ground were sent flying. The blood-winged Bat King spread its wings and charged over. Damn beast, get lost. Chapter 2564. Jianghu's Twin Kings roared angrily as they brandished their heavenly treasure Dharma Wheel and Death Scythe at the blood-winged Bat King. However, the Bat King was a guardian of the ancient tomb and could not be killed in a short time. Instead, Jianghu's Twin Kings were in danger. Buzz. Lin Xian took advantage of this moment to swallow the earth essence liquid. His damaged body and broken bones were all healed. It was useless. Jianghu looked at this scene and did not stop him. She looked at all of this coldly with disdain in her eyes. So what if he recovered? Previously he could not block her palm when he was at full strength. Now that he had recovered, did he think he could block it? She did not think so. You have eaten so many heavenly treasures, so there must be a lot of energy left in your body. After I kill you, I will refine your body and refine all of your energy for my use. Jianghu's voice was cold as she slowly raised her palm. Was it going to end? Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. Lin Xian would not be able to withstand the third palm strike. Lin Xian took a deep breath as a cold light burst out from his eyes. He formed a seal with his palms and the sword chi on his body became more and more piercing, forming a dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of him. As soon as the dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared, a dragon's roar and a sword's cry rang out. In an instant, countless cracks appeared in the sky. Everyone's bodies trembled again as they kept retreating. Many people were pressed to the ground. Damn it, what was that? He still had a trump card. Even the saints and saintesses exclaimed in surprise. What a terrifying sword intent. This aura was not weaker than the blood-colored figure at all. Damn it, who said that this kid did not have a bloodline power? Screams rang out one after another. They now suspected that Lin Xian definitely had a bloodline power, and it was a very terrifying bloodline power. Otherwise, why would the dragon-shaped sword shadow be? The power of the dragon-shaped sword shadow was simply too terrifying. Even Jianghu frowned at the sight of it. She also felt a sense of threat that could threaten her life. She could not believe it. Her opponent's sword intent was on par with her ancestor's shadow. How was that possible? One had to know that she had the bloodline of the war tribe. The bloodline of the war tribe was extremely powerful. It took tens of thousands of years of accumulation to form the bloodline power. What was the dragon shadow in her opponent's body? How could it be on par with her ancestor's shadow? She did not know. She did not believe it. The next moment she said coldly, "Damned brat, no matter what you have, you will not be able to escape death today. Now go to hell." Jianghu didn't want to drag this out any longer. She used all of her strength and struck out with her final palm. Buzz. In the sky, the blood-red figure slowly raised his palm and slapped forward again. The power of this palm was even more terrifying. It was as if 100,000 blood seas were surging in the sky. Nothing could resist? Buzz. Lin Xian held onto the dragon-shaped sword as well. It was. He swung his sword without holding back at all. Dragon sword sword dragon sword 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 dragon sword sword dragon sword 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 dragon dragon? Sword. Boom boom. The two collided fiercely. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were completely devoured. At that moment, everyone activated their defenses and resisted with all their might. They even used their trump cards. Otherwise, they might be killed by the aftermath of the energy. Between the heavens and the earth, the rumbling continued. Many people fled into the distance. Some even left the palace completely and ran into the passage to take refuge. Countless gazes looked at the sky. Although they could not see anything, they still stared at it, unwilling to let it go. Finally, the smoke dissipated. Everything was revealed. It appeared. Everyone held their breaths. But soon they were stunned. In the sky, the faces of the two figures were incomparably pale, without a trace of blood. However, upon closer inspection they were completely different. Although Lin Xian's face was pale and his aura was chaotic, he still stood there. The dragon-shaped sword in his hand was also roaring. On the other side, Jianghu was different. The blood-colored shadow behind her gradually dissipated. Finally, it shattered into countless fragments and merged into her body. As for her, she vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Her body was slashed open, almost split into two halves. What? Jianghu was defeated. The bloodline phantom had been directly slain. How was that possible? Everyone was stunned and could not believe it. At that moment, the minds of the saints and saintesses went blank. Even Yi Wudao, No Flower, the Alcade Saint, the Great Xia Prince, and the others were shocked. To be honest, they were worried that Lin Xian might not be able to resist the ancestor's shadow. After all, they had a deep understanding of the ancestor's shadow. However, things were beyond their expectations. The one who was defeated was not Lin Xian but Jianghu. Not only was Jianghu defeated, but she was also almost killed. Her bloodline shadow was directly shattered. Everyone looked at Lin Xian in horror. They stared at the dragon-shaped sword in his hand, their hearts beating wildly. What was that dragon-shaped sword? Why was it so powerful? Was it the power of the bloodline? Or was it something else? Could it be something that belonged to a saint? They did not know. They wanted to continue observing, but Lin Xian had already absorbed the dragon-shaped sword into his body. He took a step forward and walked forward. In front of him, Jianghu was half kneeling on the ground, blood flowing from her body. She shook her head frantically. Impossible, damn it, this is impossible. I can't be defeated. How could my ancestor's shadow be shattered? She had gone crazy. Originally, she was full of confidence and thought that she could easily kill her opponent. But now she had been defeated. She had been utterly defeated, and her bloodline shadow had been shattered. This caused her confidence and faith to shatter. She was on the verge of collapse. Because her opponent had not been lucky. He had completely defeated her in the area she was most confident in. There was nothing more despairing than this feeling. Thud, thud, thud. Lin Xian walked towards Jianghu. At the same time he spoke in a deep voice. War race prodigy? Bloodline power? Ancestor's shadow? I told you you can't kill me with this. As he spoke, Lin Xian had already arrived in front of Jianghu. Jianghu raised her head and looked at him with a ferocious expression. Damn brat, I don't believe it. I was careless this time. Next time, I will definitely kill you with my own hands. Next time? Lin Xian sneered. Do you think there will be a next time? Do you think I will let you go? What? Jianghu's pupils constricted. You dare to kill me? I am a prodigy of the war race. She screamed crazily. Lin Xian sneered in disdain. Was the prodigy of the war race very powerful? Wasn't the Golden Lion King a prodigy of the war race? Chapter 2565. Since I've already killed a prodigy of the war race and completely offended them, so what if I kill another one? At this point, Lin Xian's body emitted a terrifying killing intent, causing everyone's bodies to tremble. They were terrified. This was too arrogant and powerful. The other party really wanted to kill a prodigy of the war race? However, it made sense. The other party was already at the point of death with the war race. If they didn't kill the other party now, would they wait for the other party to return and recover? If it were them, they would probably kill the other party too. No. You can't kill me. Jianghu was finally afraid. She knew that the person in front of her couldn't be threatened at all. The other party wasn't afraid of the war race at all. She quickly said, let me go, let me go. After I return, I'll definitely plead for you. I'll let the war race stop chasing you. How about we exchange conditions? No need, just let the war race come and kill me. I want to see if you can kill me or not. Lin Xian shook his head decisively. What a joke. He wasn't a fool. How could he be fooled by the other party's stalling tactic? He wouldn't let the tiger return to the mountain. Bus. Lin Xian slowly raised the Dragon Abyss ancient sword. Do you have any last words? No. Damn it, you can't do this. Jianghu screamed crazily. However, the ancient sword slashed down mercilessly. Jianghu retreated crazily. At the same time she shouted, save me. As long as you save me, the war race will be endlessly grateful and give you a great opportunity. When these words came out, many people were tempted. For someone like Jianghu who had her bloodline awakened, she was definitely an important figure of the war race. If they saved her, they would be able to obtain a favor from the war race. With the strength of the war race, this favor was definitely heavy. However, saving her now was a huge risk, because it might directly arouse Lin Xian's killing intent. They didn't have the confidence to contend against Lin Xian. After all, the terrifying ancestor's phantom was destroyed by the other party. Ordinary methods couldn't contend against the other party at all. Just as they were hesitating, Lin Xian's Dragon Abyss ancient sword had already slashed down mercilessly. With a pucci, Jianghu's body was split in half. Blood turned into a sea of blood that surged in the surroundings. She was killed. Everyone's scalps went numb when they saw this scene. The other party was too decisive, he didn't give them any chance to hesitate. However, Jianghu was a genius of the war race. She was extremely powerful. Even though her body was split in half, she was still alive. She brought the sea of blood that filled the sky and the two corpses converged. Soon her body was reassembled. However, her face was as white as a sheet. She kept panting as she stared at Lin Xian viciously. "Damn brat, I will remember this sword. I will definitely return it to you. Shi Lin lineage. Wan Zhan Ji Zhan Zhan Dai. Zhan 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 Zhan. Zhan Zhan. Boom Zhan 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 was Zhan 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 was Zhan Zhan. The other party definitely had a lot of secret techniques. Ordinary sword chi would probably not be able to kill him completely. Zhan 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 is Zhan Zhan Zhan. Sure enough, once the dragon sword soul appeared, it had the power to destroy everything. Jianghu's wounds couldn't heal in a short period of time. She screamed in fright and used her trump cards crazily. However, they were all sent flying by the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Finally, another sword slash cut her in half. This time, Jianghu's body couldn't be reunited at all. Her two bodies floated, but she still didn't die. Her soul was still intact. Her soul wrapped around the two parts of her body and fled in the sky. Fellow Taoists, I'll definitely be grateful for saving my life. The peerless powerhouses of my war tribe are already on the way. As long as we can block him for a while, when the powerhouses of my war tribe arrive, they will definitely kill him. What? The powerhouses of the war tribe are here. Everyone's eyelids twitched when they heard that. A war tribe's genius was already so powerful. How terrifying would the true powerhouses of the war tribe be? Thinking of this, Tai Dynasty, 5 Elements Palace, 10,000 Thunder Sacred Land, and the others all moved. They originally had a grudge with Lin Xian. Now that they saved Jianghu, they could join forces with the war tribe and kill him together. Courting death. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He opened the jade gourd and swallowed 2 drops of spirit liquid again. His strength recovered. At the same time, 3 drops of spirit liquid floated out and landed on his body, repairing the wounds on his body. Lin Xian quickly recovered. He waved his long sword and sent all the people who came to rescue him flying. Those who were weak were directly killed with a single slash. Those elders who were stronger were also sent flying while vomiting blood. For a moment, no one dared to approach. With the strength of a single person, he killed everyone in all directions. This scene shocked everyone. Jianghu was killed to the point where she had nowhere to go. Her trump cards were destroyed one after another. It seemed that she could no longer fight back. However, at this moment, rumbling sounds came from afar. Immediately after, countless powerful auras appeared and quickly spread from the passage. What was going on? Everyone was horrified when they felt this enormous power. This power was too powerful. It was enough to destroy everyone here. Could it be that something had happened in this ancient tomb? Had a powerful formation awakened? Everyone was terrified. However, someone carefully sensed it and screamed, "Elder, it's our elder who's back." It seemed that they had successfully resisted the Big Dipper coffin. As soon as this was said, everyone sensed it. Sure enough, they sensed the auras of their respective elders. Immediately, they cried out in surprise and heaved a sigh of relief. Great, this ancient tomb was extremely dangerous. Although they were outstanding prodigies, they were still too young. With the elders around, it would be much safer. Among them, the people of 9 Firmaments Divine Emperor, Myriad Thunder Sacred Land, 5 Elements Palace, and Tai Dynasty screamed crazily. "Elders, come and save us." They had to join forces and save Jianghu. "Who dares to attack us?" An angry roar sounded. Those elders roared again and again. They thought that something had happened, but before they could arrive, their souls had already investigated. Their gazes were like lightning, piercing through all directions. They saw the situation in the hall clearly. When they saw Jianghu, they were extremely surprised. The people of the war tribe had also come. However, when they saw the entire scene, they were indeed stunned. The prodigies of the war tribe were being hunted down. Heavens, who was this? Did they not want to live anymore? Damn it, it was that kid again. The elders of Five Elements Palace, Tai Dynasty, and Myriad Thunder's Sacred Land gnashed their teeth. They discovered that the person who was chasing after Jianghu was none other than Lin Xian. Sensing this, everyone frowned. The Yi family and the Gu family were also extremely surprised. Chapter 2566. The palace master was too heaven-defying. He even dared to kill a prodigy of the war tribe? The elders of the Tai dynasty and the Five Elements Palace roared and increased their speed. They had to save Jianghu. Not good, hurry up. Elder Li and the others also increased their speed. These elders were all peerless powerhouses. They flew at full speed and arrived at the main hall in the blink of an eye. In an instant, countless energy blasted into the sky, blasting away the sword chi that filled the sky. They firmly protected Jianghu. Damn brat, how dare he kill a prodigy of the war tribe? Kneel down and accept your death. You won't live. Cold shouts came one after another. Elder Li and the others instantly returned to Lin Xian's side and activated magic arsenal. Countless top-notch puppets protected Lin Xian. Great, they were saved. Jianghu heaved a sigh of relief after being protected by so many people. Her body temporarily fused together. However, if one looked closely, they would find a small sword mark in the middle that could not be completely fused. In other words, she was very weak now. Although she was not dead, she did not have much fighting strength left. It was good enough that she could survive. When they returned to the war tribe, they would ask their elders to destroy the sword chi. Only then could she recover. She stared at Lin Xian. She swore that she would take revenge when she returned. She wanted to capture him and let him taste a fate worse than death. No one could provoke her and no one could provoke the war tribe. Thank you, fellow Taoists and seniors, for your help. Our war clan will remember this favor. Jianghu hurriedly said. Now that the elders of the sacred lands were her support, she had to rope them in. Hearing Jianghu's words, the elders of the sacred lands heaved a sigh of relief. They also hoped to join forces with the war tribe. Therefore, both sides had reached a consensus. Do you think you can save her? Seeing this, Lin Xian's lips curled up and he sneered. The surrounding people frowned. What? Could it be that this brat wanted to start a war with so many sacred lands? This was not a battle between the younger generation. With so many elders, even if the other party had so many puppets. If they were to fight, it would probably not be enough. After all, no matter how powerful Immortal Palace was, it was still only a Holy Land level power. Meanwhile, the other side had 5 or 6 Holy Lands joining hands. The gap between them was too obvious. Hearing this, Jianghu's heart skipped a beat. The other party's confidence made her feel uneasy. The elders of the Holy Lands had gloomy expressions. They whispered to Jianghu, "Don't worry with us here, that kid won't be able to hurt you." Then they looked up into the distance and stared at Lin Xian. Brat, you're too insolent and reckless. Who do you think you are? You want to hurt someone in our hands? How naive. I reckon even your Immortal Palace's elders don't have this kind of ability. Not to mention a brat like you. Is that so? You can try. Lin Xian sneered. He quickly formed a seal with his palms and a golden light flashed in his eyes. The void trembled as a pair of golden eyes appeared in the sky, looking down with incomparable coldness, as if they were the eyes of a god. Crack. Being looked down by these eyes, the martial artists below trembled and felt their scalps go numb. Even the holy sons and holy daughters felt their hearts skip a beat. It was as if everything about them had been seen through by this pair of mysterious eyes. The elders of 5 Elements Palace and 10,000 Thunder Holy Land also had gloomy expressions. They stared up and shouted coldly. Not good, it's that brat's eye technique. It's a soul attack. Everyone quickly defend. We can't let him succeed. These people were extremely nervous. They knew that Lin Xian had an extremely terrifying eye technique and soul attack that was impossible to guard against. They had to be careful. Boom boom boom. These Holy Land elders were rich and had many trump cards. In an instant, they took out soul defensive treasures one after another and floated in the sky. They enveloped them and completely protected Jianghu. Jianghu also took out an ancient mirror and floated above her head. She sneered. I thought it was some special method, but it turns out to be a soul attack. Useless brat, you can't break through so many soul defensive treasures. If it was any other attack or a dragon-shaped sword shadow, Jianghu might be afraid. However, she wasn't afraid of a soul attack. Bus. Lin Xian didn't say anything. He waved his hand and launched a soul attack. In the sky, the cold eye spun rapidly. Golden runes flickered and jumped. A terrifying power surged between heaven and earth. When the surrounding martial artists felt this power, their expressions changed and they all retreated. They also took out treasures to defend their souls. As for the area where the elders were protecting Jianghu, it was completely broken. The sky trembled as the soul defensive treasures trembled. Clearly they had suffered a powerful soul attack. Ka. In an instant, 3 treasures cracked from the middle and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, the elders were shocked. What a powerful and terrifying soul attack. Indeed, the other party's soul attack was too powerful. Even Jianghu was alarmed. But so what? This time, with so many elders working together, the other party would definitely not be able to break through the defense. As expected, after another 3 treasures were broken, they were finally able to resist. Ah. The elders all laughed. Kid, your methods are only SOSO. If you have any other trump cards, feel free to use them. The elders all sneered. Jianghu heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian was not surprised when he saw this scene. After all, there were so many of them. It would be strange if he could really break through. He said in a deep voice. I don't know what you old fellows have to be proud of. You have more than a dozen elders, yet you don't have the confidence to resist my soul attack? Or are you afraid of my soul attack from the bottom of your hearts? It seems that you elders are only SOSO. I think that in a one-on-one battle I can instantly kill your souls. Nonsense. Bullshit. How dare you? Kid, you are too arrogant. The elders all roared. They should have been happy that they had blocked Lin Xian's soul attack. However, being mocked by the other party made them vomit blood. The others were shocked. It made sense. More than a dozen elders had used so many treasures to block the other party's soul attack. Moreover, 6 of the treasures had been broken. If it was a one-on-one battle, the elders would probably not be able to resist. Ignore this, kid. Our goal is to protect Jianghu. Everything else has nothing to do with us. The elder of the Tai dynasty said in a deep voice. The elders of the other holy lands also calmed down. They took a deep breath as a cold light bloomed in their eyes. Chapter 2567. Kid, what other tricks do you have? Use them. I want to see how you'll kill in our hands. In the distance, the elders of the sacred grounds sneered. A scream suddenly sounded, causing everyone's scalps to go numb. Damn it, who's screaming? These people looked around, thinking that something had happened in the ancient tomb. But soon they were stunned. Because they found out. The scream came from the sky. Moreover, it came from behind the elders of the sacred grounds. Behind those elders was the war concubine. Why was she screaming? What happened? No one knew. They hurriedly looked over. Those elders were also stunned. The smiles on their faces froze. They suddenly turned around, their eyes like divine rainbows. Damn it, how did the other party do it? They hurriedly checked and then gasped in shock. The war concubine was surrounded by so many elders, but she was still rolling on the ground and screaming. Black insects were crawling all over her body. What are those things? Get lost. The elder of the Tai dynasty snorted coldly. With a wave of his palm, countless gusts of wind and light enveloped the insects, wanting to blast them away. However, these insects did not move at all. They did not dodge at all. Instead, they drilled into the war concubine's body like crazy. Nothing happened? How is that possible? When the elders saw this scene, they were all stunned. They were peerless powerhouses. That attack would have split an ordinary mighty figure into pieces, but these insects did not die. How is that possible? Oh no, it's those insects. They're insects made of dark night gold. In the distance, a young warrior exclaimed. They had seen Lin Xian use this method before. However, back then Lin Xian had only used 5 bugs. Right now, there were probably over 100 of them. Where did the other party get so many black insects? Oh no, damn it, how did this kid do it? These elders acted as if they had gone crazy and quickly attacked. They entered the war concubine's body, trying to force the insects out. At the same time, they protected the war concubine's soul to prevent her from being completely destroyed. However, they still underestimated the black insects. These insects were very hard. Furthermore, they were refined by a saint. It was very strange. The moment it entered the Jianghu's body, it began to frantically destroy her life force. Soon, the Jianghu's body was completely shattered. As for the Jianghu, she simply did not have the ability to recover. Blood dyed the sky red, dripping down, directly shattering the void, countless cracks appearing. This was blood that contained the power of the bloodline. It was extremely terrifying. When the bugs crawled towards Jianghu's head, Jianghu could not help but scream. A blood-red rune appeared between her eyebrows, and a violent force rushed out. With a bang, all the insects were sent flying. Not only that, but the elders guarding Jianghu were also sent flying. A few of them who were close by had half of their bodies blasted into a bloody mist. The remaining ones also coughed out mouthfuls of blood as they looked ahead in terror. The Jianghu's body cracked open, leaving only her head intact. At this moment, a figure appeared above her head. An incomparably radiant figure. Was this the phantom of the ancestors? Everyone exclaimed. An elder shook his head. No, it was not the power of the bloodline. It was a soul imprint left in the Jianghu's body by an expert of the war tribe. It should be used to protect the Jianghu's life at the most critical moment. After all, a peerless genius like the Jianghu had the atavistic bloodline. The expert of the war tribe definitely had a way to prevent her from being killed. The Yi family's elder also had a solemn expression. Looking at the aura of the imprint, it should have been left behind by an invincible king. An invincible king. Everyone was shocked. In the era where saints did not appear, no one was a match for an invincible king. The elders of the Tai dynasty in Five Elements Palace were quickly covered by the light and recovered. Although they were angry before when they saw the invincible king imprint, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Great, even without their protection the Jianghu should be fine. The Jianghu also heaved a sigh of relief. She had finally triggered the last defense in her body. However, the last defense was also the most powerful one. Once this phantom appeared, no one present would be able to threaten her. Thinking of this, she turned her head and stared at Lin Xian. Brat, you caused me to be so seriously injured. I will definitely tear you into pieces. Elder, kill him. You must kill him. The Jianghu screamed crazily. In the sky, the blurry figure silently turned his head and stared at Lin Xian. Immediately Lin Xian's body tensed up. He felt the surrounding air condense as if a pair of invisible hands were crushing him. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The sword hummed and the dragon roar in his body sounded, completely destroying the pressure. He looked at the sky and frowned. He did not expect that there would be such a thing in the Jianghu's body. You dare to harm a genius of the war tribe? The blurry figure's voice was cold. With a point of his finger the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. This finger was too shocking. It was enough to kill a peerless powerhouse. Lin Xian's pupils constricted and he instantly disappeared on the spot. This time the speed was too fast and it had locked onto him. Even if he changed his position he would not be able to dodge. Xing Tian roared angrily. He opened his mouth and spat out a hammer that swept forward. Boom. The light emitted from it hit the terrifying finger light and sent it flying. Bang, bang, bang. The void rumbled continuously. The sky was completely destroyed. Everyone was shocked. Firstly, the mysterious figure's strength was too strong, making them unable to resist. Secondly, they were even more shocked by Immortal Palace. Immortal Palace actually had a way to resist. What did the other party use? Young master, are you all right? Xing Tian stood out. There was a glowing hammer on his head that kept bobbing up and down. He asked with concern. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief and shook his head. Elder Li and the others also walked up. Palace master, leave the rest to us. All right. Lin Xian nodded and retreated. Indeed, the strength of an invincible king had already exceeded his current range. He would leave it to Xing Tian and the others to deal with. Damn it, how was this possible? The Jianghu looked at this scene with disappointment. She originally thought that she could kill the other party with this attack. But she did not expect that the other party would escape again. The other elders were also shocked. They stared at the hammer above Xing Tian's head. In the sky, the blurry figure was also surprised. He did not expect that someone could block his attack. He also lowered his head and looked at Xing Tian. When he saw the hammer above Xing Tian's head, he cried out in surprise. Sky Splitter Hammer. No, it should be a replica. Chapter 2568. However, you are too weak. If it was an invincible king holding it, it might be a threat to me. But you are not qualified. The blurry silhouette was extremely confident. He looked around disdainfully. Although it was only a wisp of remnant soul imprint, it was left behind by an invincible king after all. It could definitely crush any peerless almighty. Now you can all die. The blurry silhouette pointed its finger again. Soul-destroying finger. With a point of finger, both body and soul were destroyed. Seeing the other party attack again, Xing Tian roared angrily and used all his strength to activate the sky-splitting hammer above his head to collide with it. Although the sky-splitting hammer was not big, each strike was incomparably powerful. Bang bang bang. An intense collision sounded and the last finger light shattered. However, Xing Tian was also forced back. The blood in his body was in turmoil and he spat out a mouthful of blood. But this was already very shocking. One had to know that that was the imprint of an invincible king. It could easily kill a peerless almighty. However, the other party was actually able to block it. It was indeed shocking. The hazy and blurry figure was also an accident. This time, his face completely darkened. With a palm strike, everything was destroyed. This time Xing Tian really could not resist. Buzz. Elderly at the side made his move. With a wave of his hand, he took out a golden decree and quickly opened it. Buzz buzz buzz. When the golden decree was opened by a third, countless runes quickly flickered, turning into a light sword in the sky and slashing out. Boom. The terrifying palm was sent flying. The heavens collapsed and the earth split apart. Countless great cracks extended outwards. The surrounding people were also sent flying. Damn it, what was that thing? It was actually so terrifying. It actually sent the palm of the light figure flying. These people were all crazy. The elders were also shocked. Jianghu also did not dare to believe it. What was the origin of this immortal palace? How could it contend against the powerhouses of the war race? It was just an imprint of an invincible king. What was there to be arrogant about? Even if it was a true invincible king, we would dare to kill him. Elder Li's voice was cold. He opened the golden decree again. When he opened it halfway, runes flashed in the sky, forming a sharp light. When this light appeared, everyone's hearts jumped, and they all felt the threat of death. Even the people from the Yi clan, the Gu clan, and the Wavering Light Sacred Land were the same. It was as if they were facing a great enemy, but fortunately this light was not directed at them. An earth-shattering sound rang out, accompanied by angry roars. This voice was formed by the silhouette of the invincible king. It was clear that he had also suffered a violent impact. Damn it, you actually dared to kill my clone. Just you wait, I will never forgive you. If you dare to kill my battle clan's people, no one in this world will forgive you. A cold voice rang out as the hazy silhouette completely disappeared into the void. He disappeared. Could it be that he was killed? Everyone was shocked, not daring to believe it. Even the clone imprint of an unmatched king was killed. This immortal palace was just too terrifying, right? The Jianghu began to tremble. Her face was filled with despair and her eyes had lost their luster. Her final trump card had also been destroyed by her opponent. Could it be that she was really going to die here today? Sure enough, Lin Xian raised his hand and flicked out a sharp sword wave, directly blasting apart the Jianghu's final head. Bloody mist filled the sky. The Jianghu's soul was also blasted apart. This time she was completely killed. Everyone was completely stunned. They never expected that after 5 Elements Saint Child, 10,000 Thunder Saint Child, Jiuxiao Seiko, another exceptional genius would be killed. Moreover, this person's identity was even more terrifying. It was the Battle Clan's genius. This was definitely going to cause a huge commotion. The Battle Clan would definitely not let Lin Xian and Immortal Palace's people go. Lin Xian coldly snorted. He didn't care at all. This wasn't the first time he killed a Battle Clan's genius. He had long developed an irreconcilable hatred with the Battle Clan, so killing another one now was fine. In the next moment he stared at Tai Imperial Court and 5 Elements Palace's elders, coldly asking, "What? You want to attack again?" Those elders' eyelids twitched crazily as they quickly retreated. Everyone was stunned by this scene. A young man scared off so many elders with a single sentence. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. Those elders retreated to the back and stopped. Their faces were incomparably gloomy. Although they were furious and wanted to chop this kid in front of them into 8 pieces. However, they couldn't do it at all. The other party actually had a killing weapon that could instantly kill an invincible king's clone. This made their hair stand on end. Seeing those elders retreat and not dare to fight again, Lin Xian sneered. He raised his head and stared at the sky again. In the distance, the Bloodwing Bat King was fighting with the Central Continent Twin Kings. The Central Continent Twin Kings were about to cry. He didn't expect the Jianghu to be killed. Even the invincible king's clone imprint was destroyed. Especially now, when he felt Lin Xian's gaze on him again, he was scared out of his wits. He roared angrily and directly burned his power. He quickly escaped. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian waved his sword, and a huge sword light enveloped the Central Continent Twin Kings. The other party screamed miserably, leaving behind a trail of blood. The central continent Twin King's body was split in half. This time the good and evil were really split in half. This scene caused everyone to be alarmed. The Twin King screamed crazily. He didn't stop or fight back. Instead, he used his secret technique without caring about the consequences. He disappeared into the sky. Lin Xian didn't chase after him. The sword just now contained the power of the great dragon sword soul. That sword chi wasn't easy to erase. It seemed that the other party wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. Moreover, the Twin Kings of the Central Prefecture were no longer a threat to him. He didn't need to kill them with great fanfare. It was better to explore this strange ancient tomb first. He had a feeling that the ancient tomb below and the ancient tomb above were different. It seemed to be two tombs, but he wasn't sure. The elders of the Yi family and the Gu family also gathered together to discuss when they saw that the battle had ended. Although they had just arrived here, they also frowned according to the young warrior's description. Are you saying that there are many things of the monster clan in this ancient tomb? It's the ancient tomb of the monster clan? How is that possible? These elders who came later frowned when they heard this. Elder Li and the others' eyes also flickered. The dark red divine dragon said. It was said that in the past, no one would build a saint's ancient tomb. Some would even build many fake ancient tombs to confuse the later generations. The real tomb is hidden in a place that no one knows about. Do you think that the ancient tomb above is a fake one? The real ancient tomb is the one we're in now. If it weren't for a coincidence, we wouldn't have been able to reach the bottom. Hearing the dark red divine dragon's words, many people came to a realization. Xing Tian, Elder Li, and the others nodded slightly. There was indeed such a saying. Many people in ancient times did this. However, there was one thing that didn't make sense. Why were the two tombs above and below completely different in style? One was a human and the other was a monster. Chapter 2569. These people didn't know, so they decided to go together to investigate again. After walking for about a day, they gradually slowed down. A cave appeared in front of them. It was surrounded by vines that were very thick, like dragons. The leaves on them were incomparably green and flickered with a cold light. Everyone be careful. Seeing that it wasn't a palace in front of them, the elders hurriedly reminded them. Everyone raised their defenses and walked inside. The group entered the cave and found that there was a passage inside. They continued to walk forward. Not long after, a scream sounded. What's going on? Everyone turned around and found that the person was entangled by the vines. Damn it, there's something wrong with the vines. Seeing this scene, the surrounding cultivators roared and attacked the vines crazily. But in the next moment, the attacks were pierced through, and everyone was entangled by the vines. Even Lin Xian and the others were entangled by the vines. Get lost. Yi Dao Denier roared and punched the vines, causing countless cracks to appear. But the vines didn't break, and they were still firmly entangled around Yi Dao Denier. No way, these vines are so strong. What are they? How can they withstand the attack of a saint physique? Seeing this, Lin Xian frowned. With a wave of his finger, a biting cold sword light clashed with the vines around him. Clang, clang, clang. Sparks flew from the vines. But only faint white marks were left behind. They weren't cut at all. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. How is this possible? How terrifying is his sword chi? It can even kill a peerless almighty. But the vines were unharmed. What the hell is this? Whoosh. Just as everyone was about to fight back, the vines moved. They pulled Lin Xian, Yi Dao Denier, Murong Qingqing, and the others forward quickly. Bang, bang, bang. Everyone slammed into the walls and the ground, their blood roiling. Fortunately, they had raised their armor. Otherwise, some of them would definitely have been killed. The people from Fei Imperial Palace were also affected. This shocked the powerhouses of Fei Imperial Palace. Damn it, the purple cloud vine. Wasn't this supposed to be extinct? How could it appear here? The purple cloud demonic vine was an extremely terrifying vine. Aside from its powerful defense, what was even more terrifying was that it could absorb energy limitlessly, enough to turn thousands of miles of land into ashes. These demonic vines, as a mutated species of heaven and earth, were rare to begin with. Once in ancient times, there was a demonic soaring calamity that caused countless countries to be annihilated. Finally, the supreme experts were enraged. They joined forces and finally killed all of the demonic vines. From then on, there was no more purple cloud demonic vine in the true spirit world. Who would have thought that the purple cloud demonic vine would appear in this tomb? Furthermore, looking at how hard it was, who knew how many years it had been growing? But I'm afraid it's already grown. Damn it, Is this purple cloud devil totem trying to suck us dry and turn us into its raw materials? The martial artists of the Demon Imperial Palace roared. When these words were spoken, everyone was alarmed. They had also heard of the legend of the purple cloud demonic vine, but they hadn't expected to see it in person. No, I have to fight back. Angry roars came one after another. Lin Xian and the rest fought back with all their might, preparing to chop off these demonic vines and escape. However, they chopped for a day and night, but they couldn't cut it off. And during this day and night, the purple cloud demonic vine pulled them and continued to move forward at lightning speed. During this period, many people were knocked unconscious. The remaining people were also dizzy, their chi and blood roiling. Finally, after a day and night, the purple cloud demonic vine's speed slowed down. After about another half a day, everyone felt that they were completely pulled out of the passage. It was no longer dark before their eyes. Instead, there was light, blinding everyone to the point that they couldn't open their eyes. Lin Xian and the rest felt their bodies become light, as if there was no ground below them anymore. They were hung in midair. Lin Xian opened his eyes, golden light revolving around his eyes. He saw the surrounding scenery clearly. This was an extremely huge cave. There were countless holes around it, all of which were passageways. All of the passageways led inside and there was no way out. Could it be that this was the final burial place? Lin Xian was shocked. He raised his head and found that there was a huge vine in the sky, covering the entire valley in all directions. It was so tall that he couldn't see the top, as if there was no end. As for them, they were suspended in the air by these vines. The others also saw this scene and exclaimed in shock. Heavens, such a huge purple cloud demonic vine, how many thousands of years did it grow? They were going crazy, they had never seen such a huge demonic vine. Those from the Demon Imperial Palace were scared out of their wits. Wachindu and Yen Ryu both frowned. Purple cloud demonic vine, 3,000 years of seedling, 3,000 years of small maturity, and 3,000 years of major maturity. Even if it wasn't major maturity, it was at least 7,000 to 8,000 years old. Damn it, how could there be such a terrifying thing here? They were indeed shocked. Even invincible kings could only live for a few thousand years. Saints could live for a few thousand years, and emperors could live for 10,000 to 20,000 years at most. A 7,000 to 8,000-year-old demonic vine was definitely enough to shock these people. However, the elders from the sacred grounds started to frown. No way, this ancient tomb had existed for 30,000 to 40,000 years. How could it be that the purple cloud demonic vine had only grown for 7,000 to 8,000 years? The time didn't match? They were extremely confused. Perhaps there was only one explanation, and that was when the ancient tomb was formed, there was no purple cloud demonic vine. It was only in the last 7,000 to 8,000 years that the purple cloud demonic vine began to grow again. Yen Ryu said in a low voice. After all, the purple cloud demonic vine no longer existed in the true spirit world. It wasn't easy for this vine to grow. Perhaps everyone could accept this explanation. But who planted it? Why was it planted here? Was it to protect the ancient tomb? They didn't know. Look, there's someone there. One of them exclaimed and pointed below. Everyone looked over and exclaimed in surprise. It turned out that they were too focused on the purple cloud demonic vine and didn't see the two figures standing below. Although everyone was suspended in midair and unable to fly over, their souls were still probing downwards from all directions. In an instant they found out who the two people were. It seemed that they were a man and a woman. The woman was dressed in white, her black hair reaching her waist, and her face was extremely beautiful. She stood there with her eyes closed as if she was asleep. Beside her was a man in bronze armor. He looked valiant and extraordinary. However, he was wearing a bronze mask on his face. In his hand was a small bronze box, which he held tightly. Everyone carefully looked at the bronze man. Ah! They jumped in fright and many people screamed. Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He discovered that the eyes of the man in bronze armor were actually open. Chapter 2570. The eyes of the man in bronze armor were actually open. A pair of green eyes flickered with a cold light, seemingly watching Lin Xian and the others. This gaze made people's hair stand on end as if this bronze man was alive. Many people were so scared that they withdrew their souls. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He could feel that these two people were cold and had no soul fluctuations. Obviously they had been dead for a long time. The other saints also discovered this scene. They heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they were already dead. If they were alive, they would probably be some powerful guardian. If they attacked them, it would be difficult for them to resist in their current state. No, we have to find a way to escape. Otherwise we will end up very miserably. Many people's faces were gloomy. They found that not only were they hanging on the vines, but there were also some bones hanging on them. They were not even complete skeletons. Some only had a little left. Obviously, countless years ago many people had come here, but they were all tightly entangled by these vines. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a cold light. The great dragon sword soul roared, and a sharp sword light gushed out. This time Lin Xian did not hold back. Clang. The sword slashed on it, making an earth-shattering sound. Boom. Finally, the vine wrapped around Lin Xian directly broke and Lin Xian fell down. His figure flickered, and he appeared in the void. When the others saw this scene, they did not hold back and used their trump cards one after another. Those saints, saintesses, and elders all used their trump cards to leave. However, those ordinary disciples were not so lucky. They could not open it at all. Bang. A martial artist of the Divine Wind dynasty roared and directly slashed at his own leg. Bang. One of his legs exploded and his body fell below. Soon he hurriedly escaped and came to a safe place. His body flickered with light again, and this time, a new leg was formed. Although this method was self-mutilating and cruel to oneself, it was their only chance to survive. With this method, a broken leg could be recovered in an instant. Therefore, when the others saw this scene, they followed suit. In the sky, countless bloody mists surged. Everyone had left the purple cloud demonic soaring. Everyone looked at the purple cloud demonic soar with lingering fear. They were only escaping from the binding of the vines. The purple cloud demonic totem hadn't attacked them yet. Their endings would be even more tragic. With the purple cloud demonic totem growing here, it seemed like this was the final resting place. An elder said in a deep voice. The others gasped. Could it be that the sage's body was buried here? They were so shocked that they didn't even dare to move around. They couldn't even defeat the corpses of invincible kings, let alone the corpses of saints. They probably wouldn't be able to withstand even a wisp of saint might. We don't need to touch the saint's corpse. Let's see if there are any treasures in other places. These people searched in all directions, but soon they frowned. The reason for that was because there was nothing there. It was inferior to the amount of treasures in the palaces they had encountered earlier. Previously, in the palaces, Lin Xian and the others had obtained a lot of treasures. There were tens of thousands of earth-grade artifacts, tens of thousands of bottles of pills, and mountains of materials. There were only so many things in the palaces. This made them think that the final resting place would be 10 times or even 100 times richer than before. However, that was not the case in reality. The surroundings were empty. There was nothing except for the huge vines and endless caves. If there was anything, it would be the two figures standing under the vines. However, these two people were obviously guardians. They didn't dare to touch them. No, look at the bronze man. He's holding a bronze box in his hand. Could it be that there was some treasure in the box? Many people finally stared at the bronze box. Their eyes flickered, wanting to see clearly. However, with their current strength they couldn't see through it. Should be a treasure. There must be treasures in the final resting place. Although there aren't many of them, perhaps one of them is comparable to all of our previous gains. That was indeed the case. Treasures couldn't be judged by quantity. If there was a sage artifact inside, it would definitely be comparable to all the other treasures in the entire ancient tomb. After some discussion, everyone decided to take action. Although they knew that it might be dangerous, they were already here. If they were to leave without giving it a try, these people would definitely not be willing to leave. Bus. An elder of the Taishan sacred ground took action. His palm was extremely blue, like a starry sky, covering the area below. Whoosh. In an instant he was above the bronze man's head. However, his hand didn't fall. Instead, countless stars surrounded it, forming rays of light that hung down. They swept towards the bronze box in the bronze man's hand. Their target was only the bronze box. They would try their best not to touch anything else. Bus. All the rays of light disappeared when they got close to the bronze box, as if they were swallowed by a black hole. They disappeared without a trace. Seeing this, the people of the Taishan sacred ground frowned. Let me do it. An elder of the Yin-Yang sect walked out. He waved his hand and a yin-yang diagram flew out above his head. Not only the yin-yang sect, the 5 elements palace, the myriad thunder sacred ground, the 4 symbols sacred ground, and the Dian sacred ground. At this moment, all the sacred ground families took action. After all, there was only one treasure box. It would belong to whoever managed to snatch it, right? Bus. All the attacks were blocked when they got close to the bronze box. There seemed to be an invisible force. You're already dead. How dare you compete with us? The elder of the Yinyang sect sneered and attacked again. The others did the same. On Lin Xian's side, Elder Li Xingtian and the others also took action. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky full of light, two figures stood there, unaffected. At this moment, the man in the bronze armor suddenly raised his head. He slowly raised his head and a cracking sound could be heard. Buzz. A strange light burst out from his green eyes. Oh no. Seeing this, everyone's heart skipped a beat. How could the man's head move? Could it be that the other party was still alive and not dead? As soon as they thought of this, a terrifying light rushed out of the bronze man's body and turned into hundreds of sharp sword lights that pierced in all directions. Every ray of light turned into a sword light and combined with each other, forming a peerless killing array. In an instant, the attacks in the sky were shattered. These people were all sent flying. Many of them were directly pierced through and nailed to the void. Bang, bang, bang. Sounds of intense collisions rang out, followed by blood-curdling screams. Snow filled the air. Everyone's expression changed. Chapter 2571. It was impossible. How could he not be dead after so many years? Even great emperors could not live for so long. He was definitely not alive. Perhaps he had been refined into a puppet, or perhaps there were other reasons. The elders of the Yi family and Gu family had deep looks in their eyes. They did not believe that someone could live for so long. Ka. After the light burst out from his body, the bronze-armored man's body shook and crackled. Finally he recovered. The green light in his eyes turned into hundreds of long rainbows that swept across the sky. Ka. The bronze box in his hand was pressed against the armor in front of him, becoming one with the armor. It was stuck there. It seemed that if they did not defeat the bronze-armored man, it would be difficult to obtain the bronze box. It was just a puppet guardian. It was not like they had not killed it before. The elder of the Dayan's sacred land shouted coldly. The elder of the Dao-Yi sacred land also focused his gaze. At this moment, everyone's aura was majestic. Their opponent was just a bronze-armored man. They had so many elders and peerless geniuses. Why would they be afraid of him? Kill. With a roar, everyone attacked crazily. Runes appeared on the bronze-armored man's body one after another, instantly covering the entire space. The aura on his body also suddenly erupted, fighting against the energy that filled the sky. At this moment he seemed to have transformed into a bronze god of war. Whoosh. His figure swayed, and the bronze-armored man flew into the sky. At the same time, his doppelgangers and afterimages appeared in the sky. These doppelgangers did not disappear. Instead, they let out a long roar and fought with the elders and saints. Damn it, there were so many doppelgangers. The expressions of the elders changed. They did not expect the other party to be so powerful. Combination array formation. Do not be careless. Roars could be heard as the elders of the sacred land formed their own powerful array formation to resist. However, the top elders, saints, and saintesses were fighting on their own. They were powerful and did not fear the doppelgangers. Boom. Lin Xian swept his sword, and the three doppelgangers that approached him were instantly killed. Boom boom boom. Murong Qingqing yelled as countless petals appeared before her, revolving around her. At the same time she took out a fan that was as red as gold. With a light wave, the cry of a phoenix could be heard. A phoenix projection streaked across the sky, sending all of the clones flying. Phoenix wing-gilded fan. Many people in the surroundings exclaimed in surprise. This was the Jade Lake's most precious treasure, yet it was given to the Jade Lake Saint. Clang. A heaven-shaking, earth-shattering sound rang out, and Leaf Daudenier's body began to glow with golden light, making him look like a golden war god. A pair of fists opened and closed, sweeping in all directions with the power to swallow mountains and rivers. No flower formed a seal with his fingers, and the Buddhist light behind him was equally powerful. The Yao Guang Saint, the prince of the Great Xia dynasty, the Dao-Yi Saint, and the saintess of all beginnings. At this moment, all the saints and saintesses displayed extremely powerful combat abilities and fought against the countless doppelgangers in the sky. In the end, all of the clones were destroyed. Just a mere guardian. You want to stop our footsteps? What a joke. Kill him and snatch the bronze box. A group of people charged forward. Among them, the elders of the Five Elements Palace, the Yinyang sect, and the Hall of Innumerable Tribulations were the fastest. In an instant they arrived beside the bronze man. Their hands carried supreme divine power as they grabbed the treasure box on the bronze armor. Bang! Screams rang out as the three elders of the great sage flew back. Their arms had been mercilessly torn off. Among them, the elder of the Yinyang sect was pierced by a palm, and a terrifying bloody hole appeared. His internal organs were all shattered. These people screamed and retreated crazily. The others also stopped in midair and looked down in bewilderment. This bronze guardian is too strong. Just as everyone was in shock, the bronze guardian in front of them emitted a strange light again. He stretched out his hand, and it instantly enlarged like a blue sky, covering the entire sky. Then it descended. This bronze hand was so big that it covered the sky and the sun. There was no way for them to escape. They could only resist crazily. You're courting death. How dare you fight against so many of us? The elder of the Yi family snorted coldly. The other party was powerful and stronger than them. No one was a match for him alone. However, with so many of them working together, the other party could not resist at all. The others also attacked crazily. However, vortexes appeared one after another on the bronze hand. There seemed to be strange runes flashing in the vortexes. Oh no! Damn it, what's going on? Screams of surprise rang out one after another. Lin Xin was also very surprised. Lin Xin's pupils constricted because he discovered a terrifying scene. His body was actually gradually becoming smaller. Not only him but everyone's bodies were shrinking. It was as if they were turning into ants. Damn it, what kind of divine power is this? They had never seen it before. Lin Xin's eyes shone with a golden light. Could it be an illusion? He suspected that it might be an illusion. He checked around and found that it was not an illusion. Their bodies had really shrunk. Everyone screamed. They attacked crazily, shattering the surrounding void. However, they could not stop their bodies from shrinking. The large green palm in the sky pressed down mercilessly. Oh no! Their faces turned green. If they were hit by this palm, they would definitely be finished. And now they had become infinitely small, and their strength was suppressed. Lin Xin roared furiously as well, his body rumbling and roaring non-stop. However, there was still a force blocking him. Damn it, could it be the power of the laws? Elder Li and the others were shocked and their eyelids twitched. Xing Tian shook his head. Impossible. If the other party had the power of the laws, he could kill all of us in an instant. However, other than the power of the laws, I can't think of any other power that could be so powerful. I reckon that even an invincible king would not be able to cause such a change to us. The elders of the Yi family and Gu family also had ugly expressions. Yi Wudao, Gu Santong, and the others also had solemn expressions. It seemed that it should be the fragments of the laws. An elder of the Dao One Holy Ground said in a deep voice. After all, he was the guardian of the saint's tomb. Perhaps some of the laws were planted in his body. However, after experiencing the merciless passage of time, the laws had become fragments. That was why there was such a situation. Perhaps. Everyone had a rough idea, but they were not relaxed. Although they knew what was going on, they could not resist. Elderly Xing Tian, transfer all of your power to me. Lin Xin suddenly said. He formed a seal with his palm, and the great dragon sword soul appeared in front of him. He grabbed it. Elderly Xing Tian and the others from the Immortal Palace quickly poured in their power. Boom boom boom. The dragon-shaped sword shadow trembled and rumbled, turning into an azure dragon. It kept roaring and growing. Chapter 2572. Kakaka. The light around them cracked and their bodies stopped shrinking. Seeing this scene, Elder Li and the others were overjoyed. It was effective. Lin Xin also heaved a sigh of relief. As expected, the dragon sword soul was incomparably terrifying. It could destroy the power of the law fragment. However, with his current strength, he couldn't unleash the full power of the dragon sword soul. He could only borrow the power of others. Seeing this scene, Mu Rong Qingqing and Xin Jingxiu also came over with people from the Jade Lake Sacred Ground and the Purple Dawn Sacred Ground. They also poured power into the dragon sword soul. On the other side, Yi Wudao took a deep breath and stood up. Everyone please lend me a hand. At this point he opened his golden domain. Light bloomed behind him and a golden giant quickly rose. It kept growing bigger as if it was indomitable. Immortal King descends to the 9 heavens. It was an extremely terrifying divine ability of the Yi family. At this moment Yi Wudao was displaying it. It was truly terrifying. However, although this divine ability was powerful, it still couldn't fight against the law fragment. He could only borrow the power of others. The Yi family, Gu family, Dao One Sacred Ground, for symbols Sacred Ground, Dian's sacred ground, and many other sacred grounds all used their power to support the Immortal King. The Immortal King's phantom became more and more solid. A terrifying battle armor even appeared on his body. The runes on it flickered with supreme power. Yen Ryu also stood up. Her white clothes fluttered like a fairy. Buzz. Her body was also surrounded by a green light, but it was different from the bronze hand. A terrifying aura rushed out of her body, sweeping through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. This aura was extremely powerful. It wasn't any weaker than Lin Xian's dragon sword soul or Yi Wudao's Immortal King descends to the 9 heavens. When this scene appeared, everyone was extremely shocked. They didn't expect Yen Ryu to be so terrifying and have such a secret in her body. Fellow Taoists of the human race, let's work together. The green light on Yen Ryu's body became more and more intense. When the people of the other sacred grounds and great sects saw this scene, they gritted their teeth and nodded. Indeed, now wasn't the time for internal strife. Many people of the sacred grounds and great sects also flew to Yen Ryu and transferred their power to her. Kill. With a roar, Lin Xian waved his sword and slashed forward. The power of this sword was simply too strong. After all, it had gathered the power of countless experts. With a swing of the sword, the world lost its color, the sun and the moon lost their luster, and the entire void was split into 2. The strange energy around them was also torn apart in an instant. The bodies of Lin Xian and the others continued to grow bigger, and the bronze hand even let out vibrating sounds. Kill. Leaf Dao Denier roared, then unleashed the immortal monarch descends to the 9 heavens. That golden giant launched an attack, brandishing a terrifying fist, blasting apart the heavenly dome. Kill. Yen Ryu tenderly shouted. Green light rushed out from her body, turning into a divine rainbow as she shot out. The 3 peerless geniuses had used their strongest trump cards and gathered the strength of all the great sects of the sacred lands. At that moment, their attacks were truly capable of destroying heaven and earth. Boom, boom. The sound of an intense collision rang out. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Everyone's bodies returned to their original state. From the looks of it, the power brought about by the law fragment had been completely eliminated. Not only that, but the enormous bronze hand also shattered into pieces. Kill. 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 Another 3 roars rang out. Lin Xian, Leaf Dao Denier, and Yen Ryu once again attacked with all their might. This time they charged towards the Bronze Guardian. Boom. A terrifying power erupted, drowning out everything. The entire world trembled. The purple cloud demonic vines constantly twisted and spun, protecting the space around them. When the smoke dissipated, Lin Xian's face was pale, while Leaf Dao Denier and Yen Ryu were constantly panting. This time, almost all the energy in their bodies had been sucked dry. It wasn't just them. The elders, saints, and saintesses were the same. They didn't dare to hesitate and quickly took out their treasures. Lin Xian and the others also swallowed the Buddha Earth Spirit Elixir to recover their strength. Fortunately, they had obtained a bountiful harvest in the ancient tomb. Therefore, at this moment they didn't feel any heartache. After swallowing the treasures, their strength quickly recovered. At the same time, they turned their gazes and looked ahead. In front of him, the Bronze Guardian was still split into pieces. The armor on its body was shattered, and the bronze treasure box fell to the ground. Whoosh. When the Yin-Yang sect saw this, they quickly moved. The 4 symbols' sacred grounds were not to be outdone. Scram. The 2 of them attacked in the air, tearing the void apart. Then the 2 of them kept retreating, cracking the ground. When the others saw this, they also frowned. Seeing this, Lin Xian stepped forward and said coldly, "Let's stop fighting. Why don't we all open the box together?" Leaf Dao Denier also stepped forward. "I agree with Brother Lin." Yen Ryu, No Flower, and the others also nodded. Seeing that the various geniuses had expressed their opinions, the others also fell silent. Indeed, if they continued fighting, rivers of blood would flow. Moreover, this place was extremely dangerous. The white-clothed woman next to them was not injured at all. This shocked them greatly. Therefore now was not the best time to fight. Everybody nodded. Among them, the elders of the Gu clan and the Yi clan, the 2 clans of the remote antiquity, walked out. They were prepared to go and retrieve the bronze treasure box. Whether it was strength, reputation, or foundation, the 2 ancient families were admired by the other sacred grounds. Therefore, they did not have any objections to letting the 2 ancient families fight. Lin Xian also did not have any objections. He knew that the Yi and Gu families would not take the box for themselves. The elders of the Yi family and the Gu family walked forward. They carefully set up a seal and wrapped it around the bronze treasure box. They wanted to return. However, when they saw the bronze-armored guardian that had been torn to pieces, their pupils shrank. The two of them were stunned. What was going on? What happened? The others were puzzled. Many people walked forward. They also screamed. Whoosh! An elder of the Dao-E sacred ground waved his sleeve and blew away the broken bronze armor. Everyone saw the situation under the armor. This is... Everyone was shocked because they realized that the thing under the bronze armor was not a human. Instead, it was a furry monster with a tail. A monster. Everyone exclaimed. The people of the Fey Imperial Palace were even more shocked. It was a fox. Its body was green and there were strange patterns on its fur. Its green eyes were wide open, gradually losing their luster and becoming cold. This guardian was actually a monster. This surprised everyone. Could it be that this was really a tomb of the Fey Imperial Palace? What Chindu said with a serious expression. This seems to be a green hill fox. It was also a mutant of heaven and earth. Moreover, it was one of the most terrifying foxes. Indeed, the other experts of the Fey Imperial Palace nodded. There were two royal families of the Fox clan, the Green Hill Fox and the Nine-Tailed Fox. They did not expect this bronze guardian to be a Green Hill Fox. What was the treasure box it was guarding? Chapter 2573. Everyone was puzzled. They looked to the side at the white-clothed woman who was standing there like a statue. Who was that white-clothed woman? Was she a human or a monster? If she was a monster, it meant that it was very likely to be the tomb of a monster saint. But what if she was a human? That made them even more puzzled. What was going on with a human and a monster guarding this place? They could not figure it out. Forget it, let's not think about it. Let's see what's inside the bronze box first. The elders of the Yi family and Gu family carefully brought the bronze box to an empty space at the side. Everyone gathered around and looked carefully. They opened it. Many people were tempted. The two elders used their power to try to open it. However, they could not find the root. Let's increase our numbers. Everyone attacked together. However, they could not open it either. The dark red dragon screamed, "Don't be rash. This thing might explode. If it does, we'll all be finished." Everyone's eyelids twitched when they heard that. No way, don't talk nonsense. How could this thing explode? That's right, there must be a natural treasure inside. Many doubtful voices sounded. However, the faces of the young disciples were gloomy. Elders, let's listen to it. The snake's attainments and formations were very high. They were the ones who discovered the tomb. It was also the one who broke it. The young disciples quickly sent voice transmissions to each other. When the elders of the sacred grounds heard that, their eyelids twitched. They stared at the dark red dragon. The formation masters of the Gu family and the Yi family also walked out. They said in deep voices, "That's right, we can't act rashly. The runes on it are very dangerous. If it receives a strong impact, it might explode. At that time, the energy it will release will be unimaginable. What should we do?" Everyone was disappointed. The top formation master of the Yi family said, "This is normal. No matter how you look at it, there's a treasure buried inside. The previous owner of the treasure would not have let anyone open it so easily, nor would he have let anyone open it with brute force. However, since it was a treasure box, it could be opened if it could be closed. However, it would be more troublesome. There were many runes on it and they seemed to be formations. As long as the formations were opened, the treasure box would open. Ruffian dragon, it's up to you." Lin Xian looked at the dark red dragon. The dark red divine dragon walked up. Come. Bring a few experts. Let's break it together." It waved its claws as if it was the leader. Seeing this, the faces of many elders from the Holy Lands darkened. But there was nothing he could do about it. Since the other party was a formation expert, he had to listen to them. In the end, the Yi family, Gu family, and the Crimson Divine Dragon took the lead. Together with the array masters from the other Holy Lands, everyone joined forces. 2 days later, they finally broke through the restrictions on the formation above them. Was the treasure box? The dark red god. Fuck, I've been tricked. Indeed, everyone's faces were ugly because the light on the bronze box disappeared. The symbols quickly changed and finally formed a keyhole. After 2 days, they had only managed to break through the outermost layer of the seal, which had just revealed the keyhole. In order to open it, he needed a key. The surrounding cultivators raised their heads and looked in all directions. Lin Xian's eyes were also shining. It must be in this space and it shouldn't be too far away. The 4 symbol saints frowned. Damn it. Did he not create a key at all? Why don't we bring it back and study it after we leave the tomb? Many people from the sacred grounds had the same idea. Indeed, they had sent many people this time, but not all of them were from the sacred grounds. For example, the living fossils and the grand elders did not come. That kind of person was the most terrifying. They should have a way to crack the bronze treasure box. Crack, crack. A low sound was heard. Everyone turned their heads. Who's there? Come out. Angry roars were heard. Lin Xian stared at the white figure in the distance. Damn it. It's another guardian. Whoosh. Hearing that, everyone turned their heads and stared at the white figure in the distance. As expected, the voice came from the white figure. The beautiful face of the other party slowly changed. Her small peachy lips slowly opened at this moment. With the previous experience of the bronze guardian, these people did not dare to be careless. They reckoned that the white figure might also have a nomological fragment. Therefore, in an instant, everyone activated their strongest defense and guarded carefully. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with golden runes. He attacked first, but it didn't seem to be an attack. Kid, what exactly is it? Can you see it clearly? Many people asked anxiously. Lin Xian looked carefully and then said, It seems to be a key. A key? Are you sure it's a key? Everyone was shocked. They were extremely excited because a possibility arose in their hearts. There was a keyhole in the bronze treasure box in their hands, and they were just short of a key to open it. They searched everywhere but could not find it. However, the other guardian had a key. Could it be the key to open the bronze treasure box? That's possible. That's right. That must be it. The young cultivators exclaimed. Two guardians, one holding the treasure box and the other holding the key. That made sense. However, the elders were puzzled. Even if there's a key, why did she expose herself? She's clearly reminding us. Damn it, this is too strange. Is this white-clothed woman still alive? Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. That's right, no one wants their treasure to be taken away by others. Even the dead are no exception. But why would the white-clothed woman take the initiative to hand over the key? Is this a trap? They did not know. Young Master Lin, you're powerful and a top genius. Your soul power is even more terrifying and you're proficient in formations. Why don't you go and take the key? A coquettish voice sounded. Lin Xian was pleased to hear that. Someone was flattering him in public, which made him feel very good. However, when he heard the last sentence, his face turned green. Damn it, which bastard dares to trick me at this time? His eyes were cold as he looked around. Finally, he locked onto a beauty from the Alcade Holy Land. Damn it, it's this Alcade Holy girl again. Lin Xian's face was gloomy as he gritted his teeth. Isn't it just a little white monkey that ate some of your treasures? Do you have to hit me when I'm down? Immortal Palace's people's faces were ugly. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu frowned. Among them, Shen Jingqiu stared at the Alcade Holy Girl and snorted. Damn it, this bad woman. This suggestion isn't bad. I feel that Palace Master Lin is a young genius and can take on this role. Chapter 2574. He had almost been killed by the other party previously. Now that he had a chance to kill the other party, how could he let it go? Anyway, with so many powerful elders from the Yin-Yang sect around, he was not afraid of the other party. Fuck. This Yin-Yang saint is really courting death. The dark red divine dragon gritted his teeth. He wanted to go up and slap this guy to death. Hall Master Lin's battle strength is unparalleled. A cold voice came from the Tai dynasty. Hall Master Lin, don't back down. This matter belongs to you. That's right, Hall Master Lin. Aren't you curious about what's inside the bronze box? Voices came one after another from the Five Elements Palace, the Thousand Thunder Sacred Ground, the Nine Heavens Sacred Ground, the Tuoba family, and the Nangong family. In short, all the families and sacred grounds that had a grudge against Lin Xian spoke up one after another. The other sacred grounds and sects did not speak, but they chose to remain silent. Among them Yi Wudao, Gu Santong, No Flower, and the others who were close to Lin Xian frowned. They said that this matter was too dangerous and could be a trap. They needed to think about it at length. Yes, they needed to think about it at length. Murong Qingqing also spoke up quickly. She would not let Lin Xian take the risk. Fairy Murong, you're wrong. Hall Master Lin is so powerful. How could he be in danger? That's right. The memory of Hall Master Lin killing so many saints is still fresh in our minds. Now that he's missing the key, it should be easy. Those people were not moved at all. The cold voice and the silent consent of the others made the situation very unfavorable for Lin Xian. Those from the Immortal Palace looked gloomy. Xing Tian, elderly, and the others had murderous looks in their eyes. These people were too despicable. The dark red divine dragon jumped out. Fuck you shameless people. What's wrong? You can't beat us, so you want to use such a despicable method? You call yourselves the elites of the sacred grounds, the peerless elders. You've embarrassed yourselves. We're not as good as Hallmaster Lin. That's why we let him do such an important thing. The Yin-Yang Saint sneered. The elders of the Five Elements Palace also looked fierce. No matter what the other party said, they had to push him out today. The reason for that was because they knew that this was most likely a trap. It would be best if the law fragment could directly kill this brat, in order to relieve the hatred in their hearts. The dark red divine dragon was so angry that it stomped its feet and cursed loudly. However, at this moment, Lin Xian waved his hand and swept his gaze across the surroundings. It's not impossible for me to make a move. Everyone was stunned after hearing this. Their gazes shifted toward Lin Xian. Brat, are you crazy? Hearing this, the dark red dragon shrieked. Palace Master, you can't. Xing Tian, elderly, and the others also tried to persuade him. Lin Xian Gij, older brother Xian. Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu turned pale. Don't worry, I'm confident. Lin Xian turned his head and smiled at them before looking around. The others, on the other hand, were ecstatic. Many of them revealed ferocious expressions. Aha, this idiot brat is really arrogant. Does he really think that he can contend against the law fragment just because he killed a saint? That's great. This time we'll definitely be able to kill him. Lin Xian spoke again. I can go forward and take the bronze key. But, however what? An elder of the Nangong family asked. If the bronze treasure box is opened, no matter what's inside, half of it must be given to the first immortal temple. What? Half of it to you? How is that possible? The others were going crazy. Their faces instantly darkened as they shouted one by one. Brat, what a joke. You're too greedy? That's right. There are so many sacred grounds and sects here. How dare you ask for half of it? These people were very unhappy. Lin Xian snorted coldly. What's wrong? You don't agree? Of course you don't agree. The Yin-Yang Saint snorted coldly. Those from the Tai dynasty and the Five Elements Palace also had cold expressions. How could they agree to such a condition? Since they didn't agree, the negotiation had failed. Lin Xian shrugged. So, you can go forward and take the key yourselves. Poof. Fuck. These people were so angry that they vomited blood. Their faces became incomparably ugly. The corners of the others' mouths twitched. No wonder this brat was so arrogant, daring to ask for half of the treasure. It turned out that he was waiting for them here. Brother Lin, you really are. Yi Wudao and the others shook their heads. On the other side, Immortal Temple's people also breathed a sigh of relief. So this was their temple master's idea. However, Xin Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing were still a bit worried. What if these people agreed? This white-clothed woman was clearly a protector. She was definitely not simple. The others were also discussing spiritedly. Although they didn't want to give half of the treasure to Immortal Temple, they were even more unwilling to take the risk. That damn brat, he actually dared to ask for so much. He must have expected that we wouldn't dare to go forward. Those sacred grounds were all gnashing their teeth in anger. The Alcade Saintess also frowned. She didn't expect Lin Xian to have such an idea. She snorted coldly. These sacred grounds were too narrow-minded. So what if they gave him half of the treasure? Perhaps he would be killed before the bronze box was opened. Among them there were a few youths who thought that they were geniuses. They said, Elder, why don't you let me try? Nonsense. What kind of place is this? Even I don't dare to go up. Do you want to die? Did you forget that you shrunk? When these words came out, the young geniuses trembled and fear appeared in their eyes. The bronze hand from before was like a nightmare, reminding them of it. These people hurriedly shook their heads and retreated. They might as well agree to this brat's request. After all, whether or not he could come back alive was another matter. Let's trick him first. I don't believe that he can fight against the law fragment alone. The elders of the sacred grounds quickly discussed. In the end, they decided to agree to this condition. Among them, the elder of the Yin-Yang sect stood out. Brat, as you wish, half of the treasure in the bronze box will be given to Immortal Temple. We will divide the rest. Okay. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. He took a step forward and walked forward. Brother Xian. Big brother Lin Xian. Behind him, Murong Qingqing and the others were extremely nervous. Don't worry, Qingqing Qiu, I'm fine. Lin Xian waved at them. Whoosh. Balls of flames appeared on his ancient Taoist robe, enveloping him. Lin Xian walked towards the white-clothed woman. Although he looked relaxed on the surface, Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless. The great dragon sword soul in his body roared, filling every part of his body. It would emit an extremely sharp sword light at any time. Moreover, he had already summoned the sage's hand bone. As long as the situation wasn't right, he would immediately enter the black earth and activate the sage's hand bone. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Finally, Lin Xian arrived in front of the white-clothed woman. He slowly stretched out his fingers, which were covered with sword patterns and filled with the power of the great dragon sword soul. Chapter 2575. Whoosh! Crack! Suddenly there was a flash of light. Lin Xian felt his hands being grabbed by the other party. When the surrounding people saw this, they cried out in alarm and retreated at lightning speed. It really moved. Damn it, I told you it's a guardian. Ah, that kid is dead for sure. He's caught at such a close distance, there's no way he can escape. The people from the Yinyang sect, 5 Elements Palace, and Tai Dynasty laughed wildly. Palace Master. Brother Xian. Murong Qingqing, elderly, and the others' expressions changed drastically. Terrifying rays of light surged from their bodies as they were about to rush over to help. Don't come over, all of you retreat, I'm fine. Lin Xian's voice sounded. Murong Qingqing and the others stopped in midair. Brother Xian, are you really okay? I'm fine. Lin Xian shook his head. Although he was caught, the woman in white didn't make any further moves. And he believed that with his trump card he could break free. Alright, let's go back. The dark red dragon waved its claws. Although Murong Qingqing and the others were unwilling, they still went back. They also retreated to a safe distance. On the other side, the people from Tai Dynasty laughed sinisterly. This kid is really arrogant. Does he really think he can fight against the Guardian? Arrogance is better, this way he'll be easier to kill. We can finally avenge our enemies. The others' eyes flickered. They didn't believe that Lin Xian could resist the Guardian. Yu Wudao and No Flower and the others also frowned. They were also worried for Lin Xian. But now it seemed that Lin Xian wasn't in much danger. Because the woman in white grabbed Lin Xian's hands tightly and didn't make any further moves. To be honest, the moment the woman in white made a move, Lin Xian was also very nervous. He almost summoned the sage's hand bone. However, he still held himself back. Because he didn't feel any killing intent from the other party. However, since he couldn't move his hands, he could only grab it with his sword chi. Sword chi gushed out from his body and turned into a huge palm. He grabbed forward, wanting to take the bronze key. However, in the next moment, the white-clothed woman opened her eyes. Lin Xian felt all the sword chi in his body being suppressed. The palm that shot out also disappeared in an instant. Damn it, what's going on? Cold sweat trickled down Lin Xian's forehead. His entire body's strength had been sealed in an instant. The people behind him also cried out in surprise. It opened. The woman in white opened her eyes. Heavens, she was indeed alive. These people were terrified. The others thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure. So terrifying. What kind of power was this? Was this the power of a saint? Lin Xian didn't know, but he felt that this power was too strong. When will I be able to possess such power? Lin Xian was envious. Soon he came back to his senses. He knew that now was not the time to think about these things. He had to think of a way to take out the bronze key and leave safely. That was the most important thing. Although the sword chi in his body was suppressed, Lin Xian realized that he could still move. After thinking for a while, Lin Xian had a strange expression on his face. In the end, he gritted his teeth and stretched his head forward slowly. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to kiss the woman in white. However, he bit the bronze key with his teeth. The people behind him were also stunned when they saw this scene. No way was that kid possessed? How dare he take advantage of the woman in white at this time? Wasn't he afraid that he would be smashed into a bloody mist? Idiot kid. Sounds of discussion could be heard. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu were also stunned, but they soon understood. Brother Xian was taking the bronze key. Using his mouth to take the bronze key? What a joke. No one believed it. The holy maiden also snorted softly. However, these people were soon stunned. Because they realized that Lin Xianxian had returned again. No one could see clearly whether he had obtained the bronze key or not. However, the white-clothed woman slowly closed her eyes. She also retracted her hands. Whoosh! Lin Xian returned to the back. Did he get it? Damn it, that kid is safe and sound. How is that possible? Everyone was going crazy. However, the people from Immortal Palace heaved a sigh of relief. That's great. Shen Jingqiu also clapped and cheered. Bus. Suddenly the sky was torn apart, and a hazy figure appeared in the void. He raised his hand and threw out a palm enveloping Lin Xian. Not good. The people from Immortal Palace changed their expressions. The people from the other sacred grounds were also surprised. They did not expect that someone would attack Lin Xian at this time. Who was it? Yin Yang sect? Tai dynasty? Or the people from Five Elements Palace? No one knew at all, and they did not have time to investigate. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. Someone dared to attack him at this time. He was courting death. Whoosh. He swam in the air like a divine dragon swinging its tail, narrowly dodging the palm. He snorted coldly and was about to counterattack. However, the person in the sky took out a purple gourd. Buzz. Countless rays of light bloomed, and the purple gourd scattered thousands of rays of light, enveloping Lin Xian. In an instant, Lin Xian was sucked into the gourd. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The hazy figure turned into a ray of light and flew into the distance. Damn it, he actually took the bronze key. Go after him. The people from Dian's sacred ground roared. Elder Li Xingtian and the others went crazy. They rose into the air. The others were also dumbfounded. What was going on? Was the other party's target the bronze key? Boom. An earth-shattering sound rang out. Everyone raised their heads and looked into the distance. They saw the person who escaped was sent flying. The purple gourd was torn into pieces. The sword light around Lin Xian's body shot out from the gourd. Buzz, buzz, buzz. 13 rays of piercing sword light formed a row and slashed toward the hazy figure. The figure used a divine ability to block the attack. However, he could not block it at all and was killed in the end. Whoosh! The light in the sky dimmed. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He wanted to see which sacred ground dared to attack him. Lin Xian was stunned. The others were also stunned. After the hazy figure was slashed open, there was no blood and no corpse fell. Instead, it turned into endless spirit chi and disappeared into the void. It was not the real body. It was a clone. Lin Xian frowned. The others were also puzzled. The people from Immortal Palace walked up and protected Lin Xian. At the same time they looked behind them. They stared at the people from Tai dynasty and the Yin Yang sect. Damn it, who did it? The others also looked over. The faces of the people from Tai dynasty and the Yin Yang sect darkened. Why are you looking at us? We didn't do it. Chapter 2576. Kit, you have to have evidence before you speak. An elder from the 10,000 Thunder sacred ground gritted his teeth. They didn't dare to admit it, nor did they want to take the blame. That was because they weren't the ones who sent the clone. They didn't dare to provoke the other party now. They didn't dare to start a fight with the other party. Therefore they quickly explained. Do you have any clues about the purple gourd and the divine ability that person said he used? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. Every sacred ground's secret techniques and treasures were different, so it should be easy to identify them. However, Xingtian, Elder Li, and the others shook their heads. They couldn't tell. The other party obviously didn't use any of their martial arts. They had never seen his palm technique in the gourd before. It seemed that the other party had planned this for a long time and would definitely not expose his true identity. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. You better not let me find out who did it. Otherwise, I'll let him know what regret is. After saying this, he took a deep breath and waved his hand. All right, let's put this matter aside for now. Let's open the bronze box first. Hearing this, everyone took a deep breath. The most crucial moment had arrived. What treasure was inside the bronze box? Was it a sage's treasure? They didn't know, but they were extremely excited. Lin Xian handed the key to the Yi family's elder. The elder nodded and didn't refuse. Then the group of people retreated. They put on their armor and activated their king's domains to defend themselves. After all, no one knew what was inside. The Yi family's elder took a deep breath, and golden patterns appeared on his body. He was a peerless almighty and had the bloodline of the arch. At this moment, his defense was incomparably terrifying. On the side, an elder from the Gu family also floated in the air, emitting a terrifying void energy. If there was any danger, he would instantly transfer the bronze box into the void. Ka-ka-ka. A low sound rang out as the key slowly turned. The bronze box also made cracking sounds. Then the bronze box slowly cracked open. There wasn't any terrifying aura inside, nor was there any terrifying light. This caused everyone to be stunned. When they looked carefully, the bronze box was completely open. Two things fell out. One was a fist-sized treasure seal. It was square and had mysterious runes engraved on it. Above the seal, there was a malevolent head that made one's heart tremble. The other one was a rolled-up beast skin. These two items were simple and unadorned, lying there quietly. What are these two things? No one knew. The dark red divine dragon waved its claws and instantly grabbed the beast skin. Haha, like we said before, our immortal palace wants half. It just happens to be two things. The beast skin is ours. Here's an imperial jade seal. You can divide it among yourselves. F***K. Damn snake, hand it over. Those people went crazy and screamed like crazy. To be honest, even Elder Zhang, Xing Tian and the others from Immortal Palace were stunned. They did not expect the dark red divine dragon to act so quickly. A smile appeared on Lin Xian's face. As expected of his old partner. Sure enough, he understood his intentions. The members of the Yin-Yang sect roared. Lin Xian sneered. What? They had agreed on the conditions before, but now they wanted to go back on their word? It wouldn't be good if word got out that the sacred lands went back on their word. Who would cooperate with you in the future? You. Hearing this, the elders of the Tai dynasty and the Yin-Yang sect vomited blood in anger. They trembled and almost fainted from anger. How hateful. But there was nothing they could do. They had indeed agreed before. If they went back on their word at this time, their reputation would be tarnished, and very few people would dare to cooperate with them. Therefore they could only suffer this loss themselves. The other sacred lands were also envious. Damn it, if they knew there was no danger they would have taken the key themselves. That was because they did not discover any danger during the entire process. It was just a false alarm. That made them regret it very much. However, it was useless to regret. Lin Xian took the beast skin and threw it directly into the black earth. Don't think about getting back what you put in. Unless someone could blast open the black earth. However, even an invincible king would not be able to do so. Alright, you can study this Yushi yourselves. Our immortal palace will not interfere. Lin Xian shrugged. Xingtian, Elderly, and the others also smiled. They had obtained a complete one of the two items. This was definitely a great harvest. Everyone, let's study what this jade seal is first. Yi family's elder Zhang said in a deep voice. He was also very envious and curious about Lin Xian's beast skin. However, it was not a good time to ask now. It was better to wait until they left the tomb and let Yi Wudao ask. Yi Wudao and Lin Xian had a good relationship, so he should be able to ask what the beast skin was. At least let them know that it was a cultivation technique. A map? Or was it some ancient secret? The rest of the people studied the jade seal. Even Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu brought people up. However, at this time, the Yushi suddenly bloomed with countless rays of light that pierced in all directions. Cries of alarm rang out and blood flowed out. Damn it. They roared and attacked like crazy, destroying the world in front of them. Lin Xian also stood up and furrowed his brows. His gaze was like lightning as he stared ahead. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu were also there. Qingqing, are you okay? Lin Xian asked. Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing were escorted by two great sage elders as they retreated. Both of them had grave expressions. They were fine. They were just scratched. Murong Qingqing shook her head. There was a small cut on her arm. Shen Jingqiu also had a cut on her hand, and a few drops of blood flowed out. On the other side, Yi Wudao, No Flower, the Grand Xia Prince and everyone else retreated. Among them, many of them had suffered cuts and bruises. Lin Xian was shocked. Xingtian, Crimson Dragon, and the others also cried out in alarm. Because even Yi Wudao was injured. That was not possible. They knew how powerful the Saint Physique was. That was an existence that could catch a heaven-tier treasure with his bare hands. There was no need for them to explain how terrifying his body was. Moreover, the people from the Demon Imperial Palace were all injured. Even Yin Ryu had a scratch on her body. It had to be said that the previous attack was too strange. What was that Imperial Jade Seal? The cultivators from the Immortal Palace heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Lord Long did not take the Imperial Jade Seal. Otherwise, they would be the ones injured. That was too terrifying. They had a lingering fear. The Crimson Dragon frowned. Kid, you have to be careful with that beast skin. I feel that it is very strange. Lin Xian nodded and transmitted his voice to Hey Tuesday. Hey 2 directly sealed the beast skin in the Black Earth ship. Chapter 2577. Lin Xian raised his eyebrows and turned around. He had discovered something strange. Ruffian Long, something's not right. Look at the injured people. Aren't they the ones who were chased by the Bloodwing Bat King? Yi Wudao, No Flower, Gu Santong, the two girls and the prince of the great Xia dynasty. They all have bloodline power and their bloodlines are extremely powerful. That's right. The ordinary disciples aren't injured. Damn it, the Imperial Seal is attacking people with bloodline power again. Lin Xian hurriedly told them his guess. The saints and elders of the other sacred grounds frowned when they heard that. Bloodline power. It's bloodline power again. Previously, the Bloodwing Bat King was chasing people with bloodline power. Now, the Imperial Seal was attacking people with bloodline power again. What's going on? Generally speaking, people with bloodline power were peerless geniuses. It's normal for them to be targeted. Some elders guessed. Someone exclaimed, "Look at the blood in the sky." Everyone looked up. They saw that the blood in the sky didn't fall to the ground. Instead, it quickly sank into the Imperial Seal as if it was attracted by something. Buzz buzz buzz. The Imperial Seal absorbed all kinds of bloodline power and shone brightly. The entire Imperial Seal turned from white jade to red jade. Whoosh. Finally, it floated in the sky and spun non-stop. Streaks of blood-red light floated out of the seal along with the patterns on it. It emitted a strange aura. No way, what is the Imperial Seal made of? So many violent attacks from before, but it wasn't damaged at all. Someone screamed. The others also came back to their senses. Indeed, when they were attacked earlier, the elders had fought back with all their might. Logically speaking, a heaven-grade treasure should have been shattered, but there wasn't a single crack on the Imperial Seal. Needless to say, this was a heaven-defying treasure. However, this treasure was beyond their expectations. Buzz buzz buzz. The blood-red light in the sky became stronger and stronger, and the power it emitted became more and more terrifying. Suddenly, the Imperial Seal trembled and flew to the side. The void instantly collapsed, giving everyone a fright. The warriors in that direction hurriedly fled. However, what made everyone heave a sigh of relief was that the Imperial Jade Seal did not continue to attack these martial artists. Instead, it directly flew towards the huge purple cloud demonic vine in front of them. Buzz boom. In the next moment, the blood-red Imperial Jade Seal slammed into the purple cloud demonic soaring. The purple cloud demonic vine trembled. Countless vines swayed, and the entire space shook as if it would collapse at any moment. Ka. What happened this time? Everyone was startled. They saw that below the purple cloud demonic vine, the huge branch suddenly split open from the middle. It was as if it was torn apart by a pair of invisible hands. A huge monster was pushed out from the crack. Rumble. The void was shattered. What is this? Purple cloud soaring. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. His eyes flashed. He discovered that what came out of the crack was actually the purple cloud devil Ting. Merely, this purple cloud demonic vine was clearly even more ancient. Furthermore, it was shaped into a coffin. A coffin made of purple cloud devil vine. Looking at the appearance of this purple cloud demonic vine, it should be from tens of thousands of years ago. Who could be so generous? The purple cloud demonic vine was not an ordinary plant. It was a mutated plant. The one in front of them was alive and had a cultivation of 7,000 to 8,000 years. It was at least an invincible king. And the one that was made into an official coffin was very likely at the level of a saint. But now, the corpse of a demonic beast saint had been made into a coffin. How could they not be shocked? Perhaps only an even more powerful saint would be able to do such a thing. Thinking of this, they gasped and their eyes burned with passion. As expected, this was the final burial place. The new purple cloud demonic vine coffin was very likely the owner of this ancient tomb. For a moment, everyone was on guard. They watched carefully. About half of the purple cloud demonic vine coffin came out before it stopped. In fact, the crowd could see that there were actually 8 chains surrounding the purple cloud demonic vine coffin. Each of them was as thick as an arm. The chains were dark green in color and were engraved with runes. They gave off a feeling as heavy as a mountain. They firmly locked the purple cloud demonic vine coffin. What was going on? What was going on? Everyone was puzzled. It was one thing for the coffin to be special, but why were there 8 chains locking it? Was it trapped here? Or was there some other explanation? Everyone knew that ancient tombs contained feng shui and spirit veins. It was very mysterious and they could not completely understand it. Therefore, in their opinion, the 8 chains were very likely some kind of saying, used to remove some kind of flaw. After waiting for a long time, the purple cloud demonic vine coffin completely quieted down. Everyone looked at each other. Should they go up and take a look? There shouldn't be any danger. Everyone was very curious. After all, this was the first time they had seen the tomb of a saint. A few bold people went up to take a closer look. There was no danger. That made everyone feel even more relieved. Therefore, everyone also went up and led the people from the Immortal Palace up. However, they did not get too close. The Gu family, Yi family, Murong Qingqing and the others were even more so. After all, they were attacked and even injured before. Therefore they were very careful now. When they got closer, they realized that there were runes engraved on the purple cloud demonic vine coffin. They were very mysterious and densely packed, covering the entire coffin. Even the elders of the clan of the ancients and the sacred land could not recognize those runes. The dark red dragon looked at it for a long time and then said, "I only recognize one word. The word at the front is blood. I don't know anything else." Blood. Lin Xian frowned. He had a feeling that this ancient tomb seemed to be targeted at people with bloodline power. Should we open it and take a look? Someone suggested. As soon as those words came out, many people were shocked. Do you have a death wish? Do you dare to open the tomb of a saint? That's right, we probably don't have the strength to open it even if we want to. If we open it and find that it's the corpse of a saint, we'll all be finished. Those elders quickly shook their heads. What a joke. Although they were also tempted, they knew that there must be a shocking treasure in the coffin. However, they did not dare to open it at all. Of course, they did not dare to open it, but it did not mean that they would give up on the ancient tomb. They had already investigated it. They decided to quickly go back and inform the living fossils and the grand elders of the sacred land to bring the supreme divine weapons and attack it. Bang bang bang. Just as they were about to leave this place, a deep voice suddenly sounded. Everyone turned around. What was going on? What happened? Who was behind it? No, it wasn't us? Where did that voice come from? Damn it, why do I feel that the coffin moved a little? What? Don't talk nonsense. Everyone had been frightened by the Big Dipper coffin before. Any one of those who walked out of the coffin could defeat everyone. Chapter 2578. That was the coffin of a sage. If it walked out, it would kill them all in one move. Bang, bang, bang. This time the sound was even more intense. Everyone could clearly feel that the vibration came from the purple cloud demonic vine coffin. Furthermore, they could even see that the entire coffin was trembling slightly. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Many people were so scared that they wet their pants. Damn, that coffin had actually mutated. Could it be that it had turned into a corpse? They frantically retreated, wanting to escape. However, they were all surrounded by the vines of the purple cloud demonic vine. They couldn't escape at all. Moreover, what shocked them even more was that the purple cloud demonic vine coffin behind them opened with a bang. Countless rays of light shone, and terrifying energy surged out. The people below felt their scalps go numb, and many of them directly fell to the ground. Ancient sage, we didn't mean to offend you. Please let us go. We won't dare to come again. Many people begged for mercy. However, there were also some people who turned their heads abruptly, and Lin Xianlin was one of them. Lin Xian looked back and was stunned. In the next moment, the azure dragon claw grabbed forward. Ah, we're rich. The dark red dragon also waved its dragon claw. The others, including Yi Wudao and the prince of the Great Xia dynasty, also made a move. Seeing this scene, the people who were originally afraid turned around. They discovered that the purple cloud demonic vine coffin had indeed opened. However, no corpse came out. There was actually a coffin inside. Moreover, the gap between the large coffin and the small coffin was filled with divine crystals. Each of them was the size of a fist, colorful, and contained terrifying energy. Those were divine crystals, which were incomparably precious outside. At this moment they filled the entire space. The others also roared. All the sacred lands madly attacked. Of course, they also knew their limits. They didn't dare to touch the small coffin inside. Although it was called a small coffin, it was only slightly smaller than the purple cloud demonic vine. The large one was dozens of meters in size. The small one was more than 20 meters in size. In an instant, all the divine crystals between the two coffins were snatched away. There were more than 1,000 divine crystals here. Lin Xian and the others were the first to make a move, so they snatched the most. The others more or less got a share. On Lin Xian's side, he had snatched nearly 200 pills. The lowest number of people only managed to snatch a dozen, while the majority only managed to snatch dozens. Compared to Lin Xian, there was still a huge gap. Therefore, many people looked at Lin Xian with red eyes. They couldn't help but want to kill him for his treasures. However, when they thought of Lin Xian and Immortal Palace's strength, they all clenched their teeth and gave up. There was nothing they could do, they couldn't win. As for the other aristocratic families like the Yi clan and the Grand Xia Empire, they didn't dare to provoke them either. Damn it, I actually missed such a good opportunity. No, the next opportunity must not be missed. They gritted their teeth and fixed their gazes on the second coffin inside the coffin. Don't move. This coffin might really contain the corpse of a saint. The dark red divine dragon reminded. Hearing this, everyone's eyelids twitched. The elders of the clan of the ancients stepped forward. The people of the four great empires also frowned. Yen Ruyu and the others from the monster imperial palace put away the divine crystals they had snatched. Their eyes also flickered. Triple immortal suppressing coffin. Yen Ryu's red lips parted slightly. Triple immortal suppressing coffin? What is this? The young martial artists were very confused, but the elders of the clan of the ancients and the four great empires narrowed their eyes. Ancient sects like the Yin-Yang sect and the Tao-Yi sacred ground also frowned. Could it be that legend? Heavens, is there really someone who wants to do this? How is that possible? Exclamations of surprise were heard. Lin Xian was very confused. Legend? What legend? Triple immortal suppressing coffin, what exactly is it? He also didn't know about this ancient legend. Triple immortal suppressing coffin was a very ancient burial method according to legend. There were a total of 3 coffins, big and small, and the outermost one buried the corpse. Each coffin was made of extremely precious metal or wood. A large amount of energy and vitality would be placed between each coffin to preserve the corpse. Moreover, the coffins were buried in places with extremely rich spirit veins. It was even said that very mysterious Tao patterns had to be carved, but we don't know the specifics. We only know that the triple immortal suppressing coffin had a special effect after being buried. It was said that it was possible to bring the dead back to life. It could be said that it was a very mysterious and strange burial method. What? Bring the dead back to life? Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked and gasped. How is that possible? Even the great emperors can't bring the dead back to life. Not to mention the others. The palace master was just a legend. As for whether someone had really come back to life, there had never been any records of it in history. Moreover, very few great emperors used triple immortal suppressing coffins. There seemed to be some taboo. He didn't expect to find triple immortal suppressing coffins in the saint's ancient tomb. Kid, don't worry about it. It's just an ancient legend. It's impossible to bring the dead back to life. The dark red divine dragon shook his head. He didn't believe in such a legend, and so did the others. Although they felt that the triple immortal suppressing coffins were extremely strange, they wouldn't believe in such a magical thing like coming back to life. However, the dark red divine dragon swallowed his saliva. If the first coffin was covered with divine crystals, what would the second coffin be made of? It was probably worth far more than divine crystals. If they could open it, they would definitely be rich. The others had the same thought. Anyway, if the second coffin was opened, it wouldn't be the real corpse. Therefore they wanted to do it. As long as they didn't open the third coffin, there shouldn't be any danger. The many sacred land elders discussed and decided to open the second coffin. That was because the things inside were too tempting. Lin Xian and the others discussed and decided to do it. The Yi family, Gu family, and the others also wanted to do it. Bang, bang. However, before they could do it, the second coffin began to tremble as if it was about to open again. Damn it, what happened? Why did it open automatically? Was it really going to come back to life? God, that's impossible. That was just a legend. How could a dead person come back to life? Moreover, it seemed that he had definitely been dead for tens of thousands of years. Look at the runes on it, we don't recognize them at all. This corpse is at least 80,000 years old. Everyone swallowed their saliva, but this time they didn't retreat too much. That was because they knew that even if the second coffin was opened, it wouldn't be a corpse. Boom. Boom. Chapter 2579. The second coffin trembled more and more as it slowly opened. Rumble, 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 rumble. A deep sound rang out, accompanied by a heavy aura. Immediately after, the sky was filled with green light. Everyone felt refreshed. The injuries and energy that they had consumed had recovered in an instant. Heaven's treasure. My injuries are completely healed. What a pleasant expression. Ah, great. They had thought that they would need to rest for a few years to recover, but they had recovered in an instant. Damn it, it's a green light. Just a ray of light is enough to heal us. This is definitely a heaven-defying treasure. At this moment, everyone's eyes were red. They had all gone crazy and quickly rushed forward. This is? Everyone finally arrived at the front and saw the situation inside clearly. After the second coffin opened, a third coffin appeared. The third coffin was dark purple. It was about 7 meters long, and the runes on it were even more profound. One would be lost in it with just a glance. Everyone hurriedly cut off their souls, not daring to pay too much attention to it. They were afraid that their souls would be destroyed if they looked at it any longer. How terrifying! Lin Xian's heart trembled. Even with the heavenly secret god eyes and the great dragon sword spirit, he still did not dare to look too much, because the runes on it were too terrifying. If they were carved by someone, a single rune would be enough to kill everyone here. The power of a sage. This is definitely the power of a sage. For the first time Lin Xian felt how terrifying a sage was. This was a completely different realm from a king. He estimated that the source of power used by both sides was different. Everyone was careful, not daring to look at the purple coffin. They looked at the space beside them and saw that there were many leaves in there. Each leaf was incomparably green and crystal clear. Although tens of thousands of years had passed, they still emitted a powerful vitality. The Tree of Immortality. These are the leaves of the Tree of Immortality. Heavens, does such a tree really exist? Someone exclaimed, and the others screamed after hearing that. The Tree of Immortality was a very magical tree in the true spirit world, known as the Divine Tree. No one knew when it had grown, nor did they know how many tens of thousands of years it had lived. They only knew that it seemed to be immortal and indestructible. The Tree of Immortality had become a spirit and would not appear in the world. Even if they did appear, they would only exist in various peerless forbidden grounds. Therefore it was very difficult to obtain its leaves. However, its leaves were extremely mysterious. It contained a powerful vitality. It was said that as long as a single leaf was not destroyed, it could allow a dying person to instantly recover. This effect was like having a second life. Moreover, it was said that it was also effective against invincible kings. Back then the saints had even fought for it. One could imagine how precious the Tree of Immortality was. Such a treasure was enough to make everyone's eyes red with envy. It was unknown who roared. Suddenly, powerful auras burst out and swept through the world. A terrifying light shone in all directions. At that instant their alliance was shattered. The Tree of Immortality is ours. Bright laughter rang out. Then countless sword lights crisscrossed the world. Swords of light were inserted into the void. These light swords joined together to form an extremely terrifying sword formation. Dian Sword Formation. Get lost. With a roar like thunder, a palm shot out, blotting out the sky. It was as if an ancient demonic statue had descended from the sky. It crashed into the sword formation. The two sides erupted with incomparable power. Terrifying cracks extended in all directions. The four symbols' holy sons made their move. Bus. Between heaven and earth, countless chaotic chi flickered, hanging upside down like a waterfall. The saintess of all beginnings made her move. The saint of all beginnings was not to be outdone. His body flickered with chaotic light like a sun as he charged over. Kill. Dao Yi Holy Sun Yi Wu Dao No Flower and the others also made their moves. Lin Xian also made his move. In the face of such a treasure, it was impossible for him not to be tempted. Next to him, Shen Jingqiu Murong Qingqing, and two other elders of the great sage quickly attacked. For a moment, a chaotic battle broke out. Fortunately, this was the ancient tomb of a saint, and the coffin was also a saint, so it was not damaged. Lin Xian shouted coldly. The snow-white little monkey jumped out and manipulated the shabby small bowl to retrieve the items in the air. However, those Tree of Immortality leaves were in the saint's coffin and could not be taken out remotely. The power of the saint isolated everything. This made the snow-white little fox scratch its ears and cheeks angrily. However, it still found an opportunity. That was because the battle between Seiko Dian and the four symbols' holy sun was very fierce. In the end they sent two leaves flying. Bus. The two leaves floated in the sky, shuttling back and forth among countless rays of light. Ha ha ha, they're mine. The saint child of the four divine symbols stretched out his palm. Every finger of his was as sharp as an azure dragon, carrying with it an unparalleled divine might. He grabbed the two leaves. Don't even think about it. Seiko Dian sneered. Sword light erupted from his body, and the Dian sword formation was even more arrogant. The two of them fought very fiercely, but at this moment, a light flashed in the sky, and the two leaves disappeared into thin air. Damn it, who dares to snatch our treasures? The four symbols' holy sun was angry. A roar shook the 9 heavens. Seiko Dian's eyes were like swords, slashing in all directions. At this moment, the two great sage holy sons were really angry. The people around who were fighting for the treasures were so scared that they retreated. Even some of the elders felt their scalps go numb. Oh no. The little white monkey kept jumping. He came in front of Lin Xian, raised the small worn-out bowl and grinned. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He was a little disappointed that the little white monkey couldn't retrieve the treasures from the holy son's coffin. However, he didn't expect it to work this way. As long as the undying tree leaves left the holy son's coffin, the little white monkey would be able to snatch them. As expected, he got the first 2 undying tree leaves. Damn it, it's him. It's that damned monkey. Seiko Dian and the 4 symbols holy son were so powerful that they instantly captured the little white monkey. When they saw the little white monkey give the 2 leaves to Lin Xian, the 2 holy sons' eyes instantly turned red. Damn it, this is too much. Kill that kid. The 2 great sage holy sons roared and charged over. Boom. An earth-shattering sound was heard. The void beside the 2 great sage holy sons cracked open, and a black hole directly swallowed the 2 of them. Space-shattering fist. Xing Tian retracted his fist, and a terrifying aura was emitted from his body. If you dare to attack the young master, you'll have to get through me first. Holy Sun. No. The people of the 4 symbols holy lands and the Dian holy lands screamed crazily. They saw their holy sons being swallowed by the black hole and disappearing. How could they tolerate this? Damn it, kill him, kill the people of the immortal palace. The 2 great sage holy sons attacked crazily. Chapter 2580. The elder's hair was white and his figure was stooped, making him look extremely old. In just an instant, an unparalleled power erupted from his turbid eyes. His short and small body also abruptly expanded. Boom. In the end, the elder transformed into a white-haired god of war. His eyes looked disdainfully as the aura on his body crushed the void. Boom. 4 symbols sacred fist. The old man waved his fist, not holding back at all. Umph. Lin Xian snorted coldly and fought back. Terrifying 5 elements power flickered on his fist. Using his fist as a sword, he broke through the void. Boom. 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 The 2 collided, causing heaven and earth to collapse. With the 2 of them as the center, a terrifying wave was formed and spread towards the surroundings. Poof. Beside them, many people were sent flying and coughing up blood. The 4 symbols sacred ground elder's expression also changed. His ruddy face instantly turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire arm was also deformed instantly. Crack, crack, crack. A crisp sound was heard as the 4 symbols sacred ground elder's arm was directly broken. He screamed miserably as he retreated continuously, trampling on the void. Damn it, how is this possible? How could his strength be stronger than mine? The elder was extremely shocked and did not dare to believe it. He was a peerless almighty and an elite of the 4 symbols sacred ground. The 4 symbols sacred ground was famous for its boundless strength and powerful defense. But now, he was actually suppressed in terms of strength. His arm was even broken by a punch. He did not dare to believe it at all. Kill. With a furious roar, his broken arm instantly recovered. The elder's white hair fluttered as he charged forward again like a god of death. After an intense battle, the 4 symbols holy land's elder's body was completely destroyed, apart from his head that was still intact. In fact, he was smashed 3 times. The 4 symbols sacred ground elder roared at the sky as his broken body was reassembled. However, the aura on his body was much weaker than before. Buzz. The elder turned and fled, no longer lingering in the battle. Trying to escape? Lin Xian sneered as he executed the demigods and quickly chased after him. The other party came to kill him and he fled because he could not kill him? How could it be so simple? He wanted to let everyone know that he, Lin Xian, was not someone who could be killed by just anyone. In the sky, countless sharp sword lights flew out. The terrifying light flashed and shattered the world. This scene caused many people to turn their heads. They were scared out of their wits when they saw the scene in the distance. Heavens, what am I seeing? That brat was actually chasing after an elder? That was too scary. The 4 symbols holy lands really did not learn their lesson. He actually dared to fight with Lin Xian? Discussions rang out as the people from the 4 symbols sacred grounds roared like they had gone mad. Damn brat, stop. You dare to hurt my elder? I'm not done with you. Roars rang out one after another, but Lin Xian remained unmoved. Boom, boom. In the end, the elder from the 4 symbols sacred ground was mercilessly killed, never to be revived. Damn it, I'll fight it out with you. Many experts from the Four Symbols Holy Grounds charged forward. Lin Xian directly brandished his dragon-shaped sword Qi, sweeping out in all directions. Those experts were sent flying, their faces full of horror. Killing intent surged wildly from their bodies. Damned brat, my Four Symbols Sacred Grounds will not play with you. I'll accompany you anytime. Lin Xian's voice was cold. But if you want to kill me, you have to be prepared to be killed. No matter who you are, whether you are a saint or an elder, I won't let you off. At the end, sword Qi surged from Lin Xian's body. A terrifying sword light was like a divine sword that reached the heavens, shining until people could not open their eyes. Hearing this voice and feeling this sword Qi, many people trembled. Lin Xian's gaze turned, staring at the people from the Dian's sacred ground. You guys want to attack me too? Humph brat, you're too arrogant. An elder from the Dian's sacred ground stood out. He carried 3 treasure swords on his back, terrifying sword light flickering on his body continuously. His Dian's sacred ground was also a peerless sacred ground. How could he lower his head to a brat? Although the other party was very powerful, he was more confident in his Dian sword technique. Moreover, he was an elder who had lived for nearly 2,000 years. He did not believe that he would lose to a brat. Whoosh. The elder from the Dian's sacred ground waved his hand, and the 3 treasure swords on his back flew out and waved in front of him. Rays of dazzling sword light descended from the sky like the Milky Way, slicing through the void. Ka. Lin Xian pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword and quickly met the attack. The ancient dragon abyss sword enlarged and became a giant sword. It danced in the sky, annihilating all the sword light that came at it. Since you want to fight, don't blame me for not being polite. The great dragon sword soul roared, and the 4 seals on the ancient dragon abyss sword were released, flickering with incomparable light. Rays of sword Qi slashed down, instantly blasting the Dian sword formation into water. The 3 treasure swords trembled in the sky and flew out. There were even cracks on them. No way so strong. These people were stunned. The people from the Dian sacred ground were so frightened that their scalps went numb. This elder of theirs was extremely terrifying. The 3 treasure swords on his back were also very famous. But now this elder was forced to retreat, and there were cracks on the 3 treasure swords. Is this brat still human? Why do I feel like he's going to defy the heavens? There was no need to think about it. He had already entered the ranks of the top saints. In a one-on-one fight, other than Yi Wudao and the others, no one was a match for him. Those elders were no match for him either. Unless they ganged up on him. Indeed, ordinary elders were no match for Lin Xian in a one-on-one fight. Therefore, the Dian sacred ground shamelessly sent out another elder. On the Four Symbols sacred ground side, another elder flew out. 3 elders against Lin Xian. Fuck, this is going to be a big game. Seeing the 3 elders standing in the void and crushing the world, the surrounding people trembled. That brat is going to be in danger. Indeed, no one could beat him in a one-on-one fight, but there was no suspense in a 3-on-1 fight. Brat, your people have been restrained. Let's see who can save you this time. In the Four Symbols sacred ground, a middle-aged man gritted his teeth. The 2 elders from the Dian sacred ground were even more murderous. Indeed, Xing Tian, elderly, the dark red divine dragon, and the others were fighting with others. They were fighting for the undying leaf. Now there was no one around Lin Xian who could help him. Is that so? Lin Xian's lips curled up. With a wave of his hand, a blood-red figure appeared beside him. Seeing this figure, the elders' eyelids twitched wildly, and their faces instantly turned ugly. Blood-robed Bat King. Damn it, how could they forget about this? The blood-robed Bat King was extremely terrifying. Could definitely restrain one of them. As for the remaining 2, would they still have a 100% chance of winning if they fought each other? They did not know. The 3 of them were already the most they could send out at the moment. If they sent more people over, they would be at a disadvantage in the other battles. They were discussing and predicting their chances of winning. Chapter 2581. That was because they discovered that after the Bloodwing Bat King, there were dozens of black bugs beside Lin Xian. One by one they crawled in the air. Their pitch-black bodies flickered with a metallic light. Damn it, it's those bugs. He can control those bugs. The 3 elders were so scared that their faces turned pale, and their bodies trembled. The people in the distance also cried out in alarm. This was the 3rd time they had seen Lin Xian use those black bugs. If the first 2 times were a coincidence, what about the 3rd time? The other party must have mastered some kind of method to directly control those bugs. Thinking of this, they were terrified. Those bugs were not any weaker than the Bloodwing Bat King. Come, have a taste of the gifts I've prepared for you. Lin Xian grinned. The three elders, however, turned around and fled. What a joke. They were confident in fighting 3 against 1. Now that the other party had taken out 2 trump cards, they could not win at all. 3 streaks of red light streaked across the sky and fled into the distance. How could Lin Xian let them go? With a wave of his hand, the black bugs and the Bloodwing Bat King quickly charged over. He even used the demigods and semidevils to fly rapidly in the sky. Boom, boom. In the end, the 3 elders let out miserable screams and angry roars. A great battle broke out. The 3 elders knew that they could not escape, so they did not hold back at all. They exerted their combat strength to the limit. At the same time, they threw out all kinds of trump cards without any regard for their lives. But in the end they were still killed. There was no other way. Whether it was Lin Xian, the Black Bugs, or the Bloodwing Bat King, they were all very terrifying. They were not people they could fight against at all. 3 streaks of blood mist exploded and spread in all directions, turning into a sea of blood that surged in the sky. It dyed a corner of the sky red. Everyone was stunned. No one dared to go up and find trouble with Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved his hand and controlled the Bloodwing Bat King and the black bugs that filled the sky to quickly charge over. He wanted to use these 2 trump cards to snatch the leaf of immortality. Get lost. Kill. For a moment, countless angry roars came from below as terrifying energy surged. In the end, Lin Xian also joined the battle. The battle lasted for a long time. 2 figures broke through the void and flew back. It was the 4 symbols Saint Child and Seiko Dian. Their expressions turned gloomy. When they found out what had happened earlier, the 2 of them were completely enraged. They charged downwards in search of Lin Xian and prepared to take revenge. What kind of joke was this? An elder of their holy land had been killed in front of everyone. They had to take revenge. A large palm stretched across the sky, completely enveloping the space where Lin Xian was. Damn it. The people around Lin Xian were also furious. This palm didn't just envelop Lin Xian, it enveloped them as well. Lin Xian turned his head and looked at the sky, a cold glint in his eyes. Acting recklessly, he thrust out his sword and collided with the sky-covering giant hand. Suddenly, Seiko Dian's figure appeared behind Lin Xian, and the Great Expansion sacred sword in his hand slashed out rapidly. Bang! Lin Xian didn't dodge and pushed out his left hand. It was as if an azure dragon had collided with the Great Expansion sacred sword, and a loud clang was heard. At the same time, a ball of golden light appeared in his eyes as he looked at Seiko Dian. Seiko Dian screamed in agony as sword chi erupted from his body to defend himself. He was pushed back and his face was extremely pale. In the sky, the 4 symbols Saint Child saw this and hurriedly defended himself with his soul. In an instant, everyone retreated a great distance. Damn it, this kid is using a soul attack again. Seeing the fear in everyone's eyes, Lin Xian sneered. He didn't attack again. Instead, he took out a bronze bell and shook it in the sky. Ding ding dang dang. Terrifying sound waves spread in all directions, and the surrounding people were sent flying while vomiting blood. Damn it. Seiko Dian and the 4 symbols Saint Child's faces changed instantly. Flower protector. This guy took it out again. Damn it. The treasures that Lin Xian had obtained in this ancient tomb were too powerful. They could only use their trump cards to defend themselves. However, they probably couldn't attack Lin Xian for the time being. In the end, the 4 symbols Saint Child and Seiko Dian gave up. This was because the 2 of them couldn't do anything to Lin Xian even if they joined forces. Moreover, even if they fought to the end, both of them would be injured. It wasn't worth it at all. Therefore, the 2 of them didn't attack Lin Xian anymore. Instead, they joined in the fight. While Lin Xian was fighting, the Bloodwing Bat King and the Black Bug didn't stop. Among them, the Black Bug wrapped around 3 leaves, forming a large black ball that flew rapidly in the sky. Countless attacks landed on their bodies, making loud clanging sounds. Sparks flew as the attacks pierced through the void. However, the bug was refined from dark night black gold, which was equivalent to a heaven-grade treasure. For a moment, no one could break it. They could only watch as Lin Xian left with the 3 leaves. On the other side, the Bloodwing Bat King also obtained 2 leaves. It directly activated its blood-sucking ability, scaring the surrounding people into retreating frantically. It also successfully brought back 2 leaves. Xing Tian, Elderly, and the others all obtained some benefits. On the other side, the Yi family, Gu family, Wavering Light Sacred Land, and Lanrua Temple also did the same. Murong Qingqing and Shinjingqiu also gained a lot. In the end, more than 100 leaves were completely divided among these sacred lands and sections. Of course, everyone received more and less. For example, Lin Xian, the Yi family, and the Gu family, who were more powerful, naturally received more. Lin Xian's side obtained 12 leaves, which was considered the most. After all, there were only a total of more than 100 leaves. There were dozens of sacred lands, so it wasn't enough at all. 12 leaves was already very heaven-defying. Sure enough, many people looked at Immortal Palace from time to time. It seemed like they were very jealous. However, no one dared to make a move rashly. After obtaining the leaves, these people quickly retreated, formed their own groups, and sat down cross-legged. Array formations flickered one after another. The previous battle was very intense, and many people had fallen. Even more people were seriously injured. At this moment, they naturally wanted to recover. All kinds of heavenly treasures, spirit pills, and miraculous medicines were swallowed without any regard for their lives. These people's bodies were overflowing with light. Lin Xian and the others didn't suffer much injuries, so at this moment he was counting the spoils of war. Moreover, his eyes flickered as he stared into the distance. The undying leaf was gone, but the purple coffin was still there, flickering mysteriously. There were 3 layers of immortal suppression coffins. The 3rd layer of coffins should contain the bodies of the saints. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He had a saint's hand bone in his hand. Just a small section of the hand bone was so terrifying that it made people tremble. Not to mention the entire corpse. If it appeared, it could probably kill all of them. Therefore, everyone was very conscious and didn't have any ideas about the 3rd coffin. They decided to leave as soon as possible after recuperating. Peng, that you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.